little kid lying in bed at night and just looking out at the moon in whatever phase it was in, and I was thinking, man, my friends that live like 20 miles away, they can probably look out and see that same exact moon. And then when I was in the Navy and I would look out at the moon and I'd be halfway around the planet, I would think, man, my brother can see that moon where he is, and he's halfway around the planet from where I am. To me, it's a connection of life on Earth. We can all look up and see that moon, and it's always changing. The moon is never the same 2 days in a row. I love that. My name is Reed Wiseman. I'm the commander of NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. I grew up in a little town just north of Baltimore, Maryland, about 20 miles north of the city. There was a National Guard base nearby my house, and there were A-10 aircraft that would fly over every now and then. I just would look up at them and be like, man, I want to be up there. I want to go do that. And then my brother went to the Naval Academy, and I would go every year and watch the Blue Angels fly during commencement. And that just started to grow and grow and grow. For a while, I wanted to join the Air Force, and then I realized Navy flies as well, and they fly from ships in the middle of the ocean. And that was it, like, done deal for me. That is exactly what I wanted to do for my career. Flying is freedom to me, especially when you're in a jet aircraft coming off of an aircraft carrier in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Nearest land is over 1,500 miles away. So when you come off of that aircraft carrier, you are truly just alone with yourself out there. It is a magical experience to be out there all by yourself in an aircraft over the Pacific. It's free. I think anybody who accomplishes something that they set their mind out to, there's no one thing that does it for them. It's a combination of everything. I mean, the way my parents raised me, the way my brother and I, the way our relationship developed over time, my friends, being in the marching band, going to college, setting my own course, learning how to live on my own, being mentored along the way, being, kept on the path to success, but being given the freedom to, make excursions and fail every now and then and regroup and carry on. I think all those things come together in the end to get you where you are. I've had to overcome, I'm a human being. I've had to overcome a lot of fears. I'm pretty scared of heights. I joked about that on the International Space Station, but it turns out I'm only scared like at the edge of a building. When you're up on the International Space Station, even though you're 250 miles up, I never had that feeling of falling or that I was, at risk up there. I just kind of loved the feeling of floating and looking down at Earth. There have been challenges all throughout my life. By far, the biggest challenge was losing my wife in 2020 to cancer and now raising two daughters who are grown up now, but that's been the biggest challenge by far I've ever had to face. It is not easy. Being an only parent, trying to work a full-time job, and raising two kids is something that I think about every single day. I'm very proud of the work I've done. I haven't always done it well, but I've always shown up and tried as hard as I possibly can.
I do wonder what it's going to be like when we are really far from Earth and can see it. The sensation of being so far away from everything that you know. I had that sensation on the space station the first time I got to sit in the cupola for a really long time. So I can only imagine what that's going to be like from 200,000 plus miles away. My name is Victor Glover, and I'm the pilot for NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. When I was in 4th grade, I was 10 years old. And that's when the Challenger accident happened. And it helped me understand how the general public felt about the astronaut corps, right? Like, these are the people that we want to be. And that just gave me an easy thing to strive toward. The biggest fear that I've had to overcome in my life is doubting myself. Going to college when no one in my family had gone to college was a huge risk. I had more confidence in my athletic ability than in my academic abilities. I could play football with those college students that I saw on TV, but my classmates that I saw in the lab and around the University Union, I didn't know if I had what they had. I think addressing that self-doubt was a part of, swinging for the fence and trying to go get an engineering degree, not just go to college, but get an engineering degree and then go do something challenging and technical like flying. Apollo is known for sending humans to the moon. Artemis has an opportunity to continue the Apollo story, but I actually think it's important for this story to stand on its own. Artemis is a new program, and we're trying to do new things. And it's great to compare and contrast. When you look at our spaceship, you can see parts that were designed, built, and integrated in another country. When you look at our crew, you see that our crew is international. There are also men and women. And I just think that comparing and contrasting makes the story even richer. The piloting role specifically, I will have an hour and a half or so where I get to fly the spacecraft by hand. We haven't flown that many spaceships. And so the ability to fly one actually in space on a test mission is just a really unique opportunity. I can't tell you how I'm going to feel when we fly by the moon and see the moon up close and the Earth from 250,000 miles away, but I don't use the word excited because I'm focused. You know, what we do, this is very serious and it's very risky, and we are all intimately familiar with that risk. And so if we go out there and we're successful and we can pass that baton on to Artemis II, that's something to really be excited about.
I tell a story, which is one that my dad told me before the Apollo missions when he was just a very little boy. He was looking up at the moon with his mom, and his mom said to him, "Don't worry, Ronnie, we'll never get there." Fast forward maybe 70 years later, it's his daughter that's actually going there. And I think that long arc is something that we can all learn from. The idea that the seemingly impossible becomes possible if you just believe in it and are willing to work hard and come together to achieve it. My name is Christina Cook, and I'm a mission specialist for NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. When I look back on my dreams as a kid, I definitely never thought I would actually get here. I was very pragmatic. Even though I'm a dreamer, I knew that the odds were way against me again, so I might as well do something I'm loving in the meantime. I definitely loved science and math in school and, did pretty well in those things, but I also loved being active. I was always outside. I loved things that made me feel small. I loved looking at the night sky, oftentimes between the pine tree branches, or I loved the ocean. North Carolina also has mountains, and when we go there, I just love the vastness of all of those things. I loved how they made me feel and what they made me think about, and the vastness of the universe and how much out there was to learn. I'm drawn to exploring. I'm drawn to challenges that involve both mental and physical, and I'd much rather be solving problems wearing a whole lot of equipment and in a harsh environment, and that's just something I've carried with me ever since I was a kid. Thinking about the fears or challenges that I've had to overcome, there are just so many. I mean, basically, it's just been, that has been the journey. I always say to people, do what scares you, and that means I have to follow my own advice. So doing what scares me meant getting on a plane and going to the Antarctic, getting on a plane and going to study abroad in Ghana, applying to become an astronaut, opening the EVA hatch in the airlock and going out of it into the darkness, strapping myself onto a rocket. And so for me, I think that no matter what the challenge, recognizing that if people believe in you and you believe they believe in you, the challenges seem always a little bit easier. To me, the moon, it represents history. It is a witness plate. Everything that's ever happened to the moon is still written on the moon. Every single person has looked at the moon their entire lives. We see the same moon. That's something really special. It's just the epitome of a symbol of something that's in each of our hearts, but that's also represents exploration and reaching.
I have this very distinct memory of seeing an image of an astronaut standing on the moon. It's burnt in my brain because I went back to it so many times in my childhood, and I would look at that image, and I know it had a huge impact on me that humans had walked on the moon. My name is Colonel Jeremy Hansen. I'm an astronaut with the Canadian Space Agency, and I'm a mission specialist on NASA's Artemis II mission around the moon. My elementary school years, I grew up on a farm outside of London, Ontario. I spent as much time as I could with my dad on the farm. I learned the value of hard work, for example. If I wanted to go to work with Dad, it was going to be a long day, and I was going to have to not complain, or I wasn't going to get to go the next day. I had a treehouse. I had a vivid imagination. And I changed my treehouse into a spaceship. I made all these dials and controls. I had circuit breakers for switches that I found in the barn. And I was exploring space in my imagination. The most important thing I did to get to where I wanted to go in life, which was flying fighter jets and eventually becoming an astronaut, is I shared those desires with other people. And it turns out, just like you don't go to the moon on your own, if you could, I would have done it a long time ago in my treehouse as a kid, you have to go as a team.
I think the biggest impediment to achieving my goals was, of course, myself. And I think that's a common human experience. There are many times where just little things would get in my way, and my immediate interpretation of that was, well, now that goal is out the window. You know, people must have lifted me back up, and somewhere in the back of my head, that persistence came through. And I think that's a common human experience, to doubt ourselves. I've come to this, I guess, realization that I believe that we all have gifts to contribute, and the goal is to figure out how to use your energy towards adding positively to humanity's existence on this planet. But I love it when humanity sets big goals, like sending humans to the surface of the moon with an eye to eventually going to Mars, because when we do that, we can bring together genius from not just even in one country, but around the world. I've also learned from my indigenous mentors that they refer to the moon as Grandmother Moon. So you've probably heard of Mother Earth. They use Grandmother Moon because Grandmother Moon is responsible for the water in their community, just like the moon moves the water around the planet, affects the tides. And I think that's a really beautiful thing for us as we go back to the moon, to think about all the different cultures around the world and how they view the moon differently. And that's really neat because we all share that same moon in the night sky.
One hour, 38 minutes and counting until the opening of the Artemis II launch window today, 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are looking at the rocket and Orion out on the pad, historic launch pad 39B here at Kennedy Space Center. What a great view, Nicole.
Yes, it is. You know, we can see the clouds out in front of us, but they are to the west. And you can see that there's some blue sky peeking through behind that rocket, which is good news.
And more people continue to come on center here. About a couple of hours ago, folks with special passes to come on center were allowed to start driving on with family and friends. And, of course, we have media growing by the moment here at the press site here at Kennedy Space Center, setting up their cameras, setting up tents, interviewing folks. Again, this great jib shot that we have from our camera here showing all the interest that we have here at the press site. And actually, even to the right of us, so camera left, no, sorry, the right of your screen, left of us, plenty of other people there, set up with their own tents, broadcasting to their own viewers. And so, again, just really cool to see everybody wanting to share in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, how many media tents we can see from here. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I think it's important to share this message with the whole world.
Yeah. And so let's take a look now at people who are watching in other parts of the country. We have this shot here from the U.S. Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, man, look
Just
at that.
kidding. Museum of Flight, Seattle, Washington. So sorry. Hello to you over there. Sorry, I thought that you were in Alabama. But here you are from Seattle, Washington. Again, the Museum of Flight. They must have had a special event to bring people there to watch, as well as a special event here. Now, correctly, the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, Huntsville, Alabama. Of course, they would have a lot of people here, and I'm sure this crowd will grow when we get closer to launch. Marshall, the home of the SLS rocket.
Yes. Yeah, this is a great shot. You can see all the people there, and obviously you've got quite a few artifacts in there as well. Oh,
now
they
know.
Yes.
Yeah, now they know. They're on the broadcast. That's too funny.
Awesome.
Hey, listen, it's all right. We can sit and chill until we wait for the opening of the window. No,
There
they are.
Yeah. Everybody's excited.
Thank you guys for
Love it.
showing us your excitement. I know deep down it was in there. It's just that you felt like sitting at the moment, and that's all right.
There's a little delay.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, thanks so much to those supporting these watch parties and bringing them to us live here. Actually, our video paths are taking quite a circuitous route to be able to bring those live views in from Seattle as well as Alabama, but we're glad that we can be able to share it with you in the broadcast now. And so why are we going to the moon? Why does NASA want to build a moon base there? Here's Megan Carter again with our moon board.
All right, thank you, Megan. Yeah, so we are right around that hour-and-a-half mark, hopefully for that launch. It's going to be very exciting. So they are going to have a few days to be around the low Earth orbit, and then they'll be heading on to the moon. So yes, let's talk what will be happening. Why are we going to the moon? So obviously this is not going to be a landing, as we've discussed. They are going to be coming with 4,000 to 6,000 feet around the moon's surface, and this is going to connect us directly to our past. Those Apollo missions did have 6 lunar landings, and the Artemis campaign is looking to build on that past by going back to the moon, staying longer, and then going farther. So how are we going to do that, and why? We have obviously talked a little bit about that lunar South Pole, and we are focused specifically on the far side of the moon for this one for a specific reason. You might have guessed we're going to be looking for some resources especially, and that's going to be water or water ice. That is going to be giving us some really critical pieces for future missions. And as you can see here, we have identified 9 potential landing zones. So this is going to be a critical objective for our crew. Depending on when they launch, it will determine what is going to be visible, but we do have these 9 landing zones right here around the Shackleton crater, and as you can see here, a lot of that area is deep and dark, and that is where we are going to be looking for that water ice, because that is obviously going to give us not just water to drink, but as we know, that can actually be converted into our propellant potentially, that hydrogen and oxygen. So that is going to make the moon a critical place for that moon base, because we want to think of it essentially as a backpacking trip. If you have your tent and your hiking boots and your camping stove and all your gear, you don't want to take that out and be on the trail for the first day and then try everything out. You're going to test things out a little bit closer to home before you go out on that adventure. And that kind of goes for us as well. So the moon is going to be critical for us in the future steps towards our lunar landings, and then also for going farther on to Mars in the future. It's going to set us up for that deep space exploration, and we can't wait to see what they see once they get to that flyby. But for now, we are, like I said, getting closer. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Megan.
Exciting stuff. Again, the idea of accomplishing a moon base, like as we've been saying, sometimes things just seem like science fiction, and it's amazing that we're making it science fact.
Yes, yeah, we're going back. We're going to scout it out, and then on the future Artemis missions, we're going to put boots back on the moon for the first time in over half a century. But we're going to stay, and we're going to learn from the moon, and we're going to, as Megan talked about, the water ice, and harness that resource, and not only learn from the moon about Earth and about the solar system, but also figure out how we get to Mars from the moon.
And so what we're seeing now back inside the White Room with the closeout team, they are removing basically fixtures that protected the crew module hatch while they did work around it, right, Nicole?
Yep. Yeah, so anytime that you're moving around and working, there are some sensitive sensors and parts of the crew module that we don't want to kick or bump into, and so it's easier to just put a guard up while you're working in there and then take it down later.
And so this is a visual cue for us that the team is getting ready to close the last hatch, again, the launch abort system hatch. Can you tell us about what the LAS is?
Yeah, so launch abort system, this is, we have the crew module, and then what sits basically on top of the crew module is the launch abort system, and it has its own motors, so that we'll arm it about 5 minutes prior to launch, and then it stays with the crew module until about the Kármán line, so that 100-kilometer point in space. Once the crew could safely get to orbit, it will actually be jettisoned, and the crew module will then be exposed. So this is just a safety mechanism that stays on the outside of the crew module, and then as they monitor the attitude and the thrust and all sorts of the roll, all sorts of different data points to make sure the crew is safely getting to orbit. And once they are safely to orbit, then we will get rid of that launch abort system.
And it looks like they're putting all these parts that they're removing from around the crew module hatch into a bag, because they have to take this out with them once they leave the pad, right?
Yes, yeah, we don't want anything left up there in the White Room, and especially because that crew access arm will move away from the capsule and the rocket, and so we want an empty White Room, no FOD like we talked about, so that we can have a safe launch.
And this orange tube that you see on the right side of your screen, that had been inside the crew module providing breathable air to the crew. And now again, with the crew module closed and them getting ready to close the second hatch, that has been removed and is out of the way. So again, the closeout crew can continue to do their work.
Yeah, that's just a duct to provide some cooling air and some breathing air to the crew and the closeout crew while they're in there.
That's actually a good point, yeah. And so as we continue to watch the crew prepare to close the launch abort system hatch, why don't we take a look at the crew's mission patch? Now, crews have designed their official mission patches since the Gemini 5 launch in 1965. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, they really wanted to play on the abbreviation of Artemis II to all, signifying not only the second major flight of the Artemis program, but also a mission to explore for all, by all. The crew chose the iconic Earthrise photo for a reason. It was taken by the Apollo 8 crew in 1968, the first crew to ever fly around the moon. The mission was to prove teams then were ready to land on the moon the same way Artemis II hopes to fly around the moon ahead of a lunar landing with Artemis IV. This time, as we've been saying throughout the broadcast, to stay on the moon and pave the way to Mars.
Yeah, we talk about incremental steps, right? And so Artemis II is very similar to Apollo 8 in terms of that increment. They're going to fly around the moon and set up the rest of the Artemis program for landing on the moon, but also with a nod towards the fact that we do this for all humanity. And I love the thoughtfulness and how much importance they put on their patch design.
Another camera angle of inside the Orion spacecraft.
I was going to say, we might be able to see Rise, but I think it's right behind Reed's foot there.
And so to orient people again, so basically we have Christina in your upper Christina in your upper left-hand corner. Then you have Jeremy below her. And then the feet you're seeing, those are Reed's feet. And then next to him, the upper right-hand corner, that is Victor, who's unfortunately hidden by Reed's feet. But again, that is the orientation of the crew inside Orion right now. Now, earlier this week, the crew got to stick their patch on a wall just outside the suit-up room. You can play that video there now. You can see that crews have been doing this as part of a pre-flight tradition again. Wow, Reed just making sure that thing won't come
sure
off.
It's flat.
And so now Victor is signing there, followed by Christina, and then Jeremy. That's a fun tradition, and your patch is up there too.
It is. Yeah, ours is on the left-hand side there. It's a fun tradition. This is a really fun day too. You know, they did this a couple days ago, but it's just another step that makes it a little bit more real that you're going to be launching soon.
Again, we talked a little bit about this before. The basically like a computer there on Jeremy's leg, a way for him to just check out the data, see some of the data that also Reed and Victor are getting to see, but in those much bigger displays for Orion.
Right, yeah, it's basically a tablet on his leg, and it's actually plugged into a cord nearby that allows him to have a screen repeater so he can see what they're looking at.
And it looks like he's taking notes. Can you talk a little bit about what that is? It's part of, all of them have like a little procedural book, right?
Right, yeah, so they have what we call a knee board, and they'll have blank pages to take notes on. They might have a cue card or procedures, or they can be kind of custom built to what each crew member wants for their knee board.
This mission, of course, built by people and companies in all 50 states, as we've been saying throughout the broadcast, and with our international partners as well. Let's take a look at some of the people playing such a big role in today's test flight.
What we're doing here is a collaborative effort of hundreds of thousands of people.
This is about the parts, the hardware, the software, the services, all coming together to make that mission possible.
My dream for this space program is that we would not just push the boundaries, but that we push them together.
And liftoff of Artemis I. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
It takes a team to do great things. And Artemis has an incredible team.
We have international partners. We have commercial partners and industry partners.
It takes unity to accomplish great things, and that's what this mission's all about.
We're not sending our money to the moon and lighting it on fire. We're putting that money right back into the economy in ways that benefit everybody. So every dollar that comes out of the Treasury that goes to support this mission goes back into the Treasury 3 times. What is very important to me is that we do it the right way, and that we do it with our values, that our industries grow, that our communities grow, that our families are healthy and safe and have amazing things to work on. Then we're going to build machines to go even further onto Mars.
That is our generation, the Artemis generation, that defines the starting point of our exploration future.
I just want to say thank you to all of the hands that have touched a part of this program and the hearts that have moved everyone to this goal, because we're going to the moon and we're going beyond.
One team.
One team.
One team.
One dream.
What I really like about that package is, again, just reminding people that this is spurring so many jobs across the country.
Yeah, across the country and across the world, right? The whole world has a part of this. The Artemis Accords are signed by over 40, 50 different countries. And so, yeah, we're taking all of the taxpayers' money and we're putting it right back into the jobs here in the U.S.
And the money, too. You know, when we have more disposable income because we have good paying jobs, that's money that goes back into our economy as disposable income. So really, it is just an ecosystem that NASA is proud to be a part of.
Right. Not only is it about the money and the economy, right, but it's also about the science and what we're going to learn and exploration. You know, on top of all of those things, we benefit the economy as well.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, Nicole is a wealth of knowledge. We're very lucky to have her. We're going to be tapping into that knowledge throughout the broadcast, and we have been for now close to 4 hours. So thank you, Nicole. I hope you're holding up okay.
Yeah, I'm loving it out here. It's been great.
Let's learn a little bit more about Nicole. Her first mission to space was actually last March. She launched from here at Kennedy Space Center as pilot of NASA's SpaceX Crew 10 mission to the International Space Station. And what a beautiful launch that was. She spent 148 days in space conducting science experiments that could benefit us on Earth. For example, one studied the physics of liquids, which could help researchers deliver medicines more effectively. She also conducted an almost 6-hour spacewalk to help upgrade the orbiting lab's power system. Nicole is a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force and flew one of its most advanced aircraft. She was born in San Diego, California, and is a twin. That's a cute photo of the two of you. Oh, that one too.
Young explorers. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's so great to just see how far you've come. Again, I think that speaks to what we've been saying. Like, you know, just if you're passionate about something, go for it and see where that takes you.
Yeah, I think that's a great example. You know, I was a serious little kid with really high goals and, you know, just kept working hard and never got bumped off the path and ended up here. And, you know, I think it's a testament to the human, like we talked about, you know, if you're willing to work hard, be a good team player, you can really get anywhere you want in life. And that's what I love to talk about. Christina has mentioned similar things. And so it's been kind of a theme for the day.
Yeah, definitely a theme for the day, a theme for the team. The team has said the same, the crew has said the same sort of things. So absolutely, Nicole, thank you so much for being here. And hopefully only a little bit more until launch today.
Hopefully.
So today's Artemis II test flight will mark only the 7th time NASA astronauts will launch on a new NASA spacecraft designed for crew. And then controlling the flight will be Mission Control in Houston. Our Gary Jordan is inside with flight controllers. Hey, Gary.
Hey, Megan, you are right. This is a significant milestone, and we may be putting the names of a few more astronauts in the history books today. The Artemis II crew is set to launch today will join a select list of humans to fly in a spacecraft for the very first time. And Artemis II, like missions before it, is a test mission. During ascent, the crew and the teams here in the room are prepared for a variety of scenarios. Some of these will be called out directly by Capcom's Stan Love during ascent, and some are a little more subtle. These calls can be split into two categories: alternate main engine cutoff or MECO targets and aborts. First, there are two alternate MECO targets or AMTs. These note milestones to give flight control teams and astronauts an idea of what would happen after that moment should the core stage lose one of the main engines. First is AMT low. You won't hear it called out by the crew or Capcom since this happens right at liftoff. If the core stage loses one engine at this moment, an abort once around option could be made at main engine cutoff, meaning the crew could target a splashdown in the Pacific. The second is AMT high, which would be called out by Capcom's Stan Love around 22 seconds. After this moment, if the core stage loses an engine, we can still pursue an alternate mission in low Earth orbit to accomplish some of the test objectives. And at about 5 minutes, 16 seconds into the flight, you'll hear the call 3-engine press. This is a good moment. After this point, if the core stage loses an engine, we can still make a nominal main engine cutoff and pursue a moon mission as expected. Again, these MECO targets give the flight control teams and crew an idea of what lies ahead should one main engine be lost, but assumes we are otherwise continuing to a main engine cutoff target. This differs from an abort, where the Orion capsule separates from the Space Launch System prior to the planned separation time. There are abort options at every moment that integrity is attached to the Space Launch System, from the pad to more than 3 hours into the mission. During the first 8 or so minutes of powered flight, there are 3 abort options. First is the use of the launch abort system, which you see at the very top of the rocket, and here in the White Room where the hatch is open and teams are working to close it. This particular abort capability can be used from here at the pad through roughly 3 minutes and 22 seconds into the flight. Next is an untargeted abort splashdown, or UAS. This uses Orion's service module engines to escape the SLS and becomes available immediately after the launch abort system jettisons. Third is an abort once around, or AOA. You'll hear Capcom Stan Love call AOA open around 7 minutes 30 seconds into the flight. This also uses the service module engines, but the burn profile is a bit different to aim for a splashdown in the Pacific after one trip around the Earth. NASA's expedited recovery teams are staged off the coast of San Diego to get to the crew and integrity quickly for this abort option. An AOA option continues to be available until solar arrays are deployed on the Orion service module a little more than 30 minutes into the mission. At this point, an abort to orbit, or ATO option, becomes available until separation from the upper stage around 3 hours and 23 minutes. Mission profiles can vary depending on when an ATO is executed in that window, but with power being drawn from solar arrays, it buys more time for astronauts and flight control teams to make decisions and stay in Earth orbit, return for a splashdown, or continue to the moon. The Artemis II crew and flight control teams are well trained on all of these scenarios, and the calls you'll hear to the crew on Orion to Earth may help them be in a ready state for whatever challenge may come their way. At this time, we're not tracking any significant issues here in mission control in Houston, Texas. That would be showstoppers for today's launch. We're continuing to, of course, monitor the countdown along the way
MS1,
and make sure
NTD,
all systems are
Orion
go for when we reach T0. With that, I'll send it back to you, Megan, at the Kennedy Space
All
Center.
right, we are ready for another reading if you are ready over there.
Yes, sir. CBA is steady at 2,600 PSI.
All right, copy that. And you know, the more times we ask you to do that, the closer we get to launch, so that's a good thing.
Copy.
You heard it there from NASA Test Director Jeff Spaulding. The more that they keep on asking her how the pressure is holding in the counterbalance assembly mechanism is a good thing, because it means we are getting closer to launch. So that's amazing news over the loops that we just heard on Orion to Earth 1. Again, that communication channel with the crew. But now I want to get back over to Daryl with the launch team. He has an update now on the flight termination system that the team was tracking.
All right. Thank you very much, Megan. And we're getting an update now from the launch team as we speak. All right, stand by 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. We were just getting an update, in fact, about what I was about to report out on the range. And the good news is the range is go. So we reported that they were working to verify their equipment regarding the FTS system. And they asked for a little of that verification work to be done by one of the FTS engineers here in the firing room. He went out to the VAB to get some legacy hardware to help out with it. But in the end, this is a fix that the range had come up with to get clearance, to clear the range rather, and to as well work the FTS system. And so now they are go. Again, the range is go. That is no longer a constraint. And so you combine that with the fact that the rocket and the ground systems here also working, no constraints, clear board here is great news. So again, the range is green, and we're continuing to work through the countdown. We got a weather update that came in to the launch director from Launch Weather Officer Mark Berger. He reported out that there's still a little bit of feisty weather activity that's happening up in the Titusville area. That's the city neighboring the Kennedy Space Center. Those showers had passed over Kennedy, and then now they're currently over in Titusville, currently still within that mile kind of constraint of flight through precipitation rule. But we're still far enough from the window that it looks like it won't be an issue. And in fact, we're seeing some good sunlight now breaking through onto the launch pad. As you can see, it's actually shining on the other side of the rocket here. But to the west, we're starting to see some of that clearing that was forecast. And so the launch weather officer held his forecast for 80% go for flight during our launch window tonight, which, as a reminder, is 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time until 8:24 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're also hearing that the last hatch closure, as you can see in the bottom corner of your screen, they're starting to work on that. That's the launch abort system hatch. There are two hatches, the crew hatch and the launch abort system hatch, and the closeout crew that you see right there, right on time with their work as they go to shut. And you can see it in motion right now, that launch abort system hatch. That's the latest from the firing room. We'll send it back to the host desk.
Thank you so much, Daryl. Great news all around. And yes, we did just see them close the last hatch. And now we are looking at a live view of Banana Creek. Lots of people there, I'm sure, relieved to hear that issue with the flight termination system has been resolved. And we are go for launch. Go for launch from the range, go for weather, and go from all of them, I would imagine.
Yes, it's going to be exciting. The crowd is building. And as Daryl said, you can start to see the sun poking out here, and we can see all the clouds are moving north and moving away from us. So it's all good news.
And so as we know, we have our Leah Martin down there at the Banana Creek viewing location, and she's standing by with some other guests.
Hey, Megan, I don't know if you heard that huge cheer just now. If you heard a big rumble, as soon as Daryl said that the range was clear for launch, everybody clapped. It was super excited as we get to do some final countdowns. Standing next to me, I have Hudson and Maddox, the son of brothers here. And I asked you a little bit earlier, how excited are you to be here for launch? What did you say?
I'm very excited. It's our mom's birthday, and, you know,
not a better way to celebrate right now. I asked you on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you? Would you say?
11.
Yeah,
11. I'm very excited.
Super excited.
Yeah.
So, Megan, we've been watching the launch broadcast here and hearing some of the questions that you and Nicole have been asking and answering. And I actually wanted to ask these two kids, if you could take a 10-day trip around the moon and take 3 people with you, who'd you take with you?
Well, I'd take my dad and my mom. And, I mean, I don't know. Probably My best friend. I'd just say one of my friends, you know.
Oh, one of your friends. So brother got left out. Who would you take?
That was just what I was thinking. My dad and my mom and my best friend.
That's a pretty good answer. Your brother can get his own trip to space, right? So I'm actually joined here also by Dad. Now, you were sharing with me that a lot of the work that you've been doing over the last several months has been prepping the launch teams, our engineering teams, our ground systems teams to get ready for launch, to be mindful and to be in this moment. How does it feel to be standing here knowing that the people you've worked so closely with are doing what they're passionate about, or doing what they were born to do, moments away from launching this rocket?
I mean, this is an exceptionally happy moment for us and all of us and the people that are, about to take off on this historic trip here. And I'm grateful to know that we've helped in some way, shape, or form to help them stay steady and calm, in such an exciting time within the agency. And so to just be here and witness it and know that, they've got some tools to help them stay calm and steady is everything to us. So.
Fantastic. Well, Megan, we are standing by ready to go, and we're ready to cheer this team on.
Thanks so much, guys. And yes, Leo, we did hear that cheer. That was very exciting. I think the vibe over there is they're celebrating, they're having fun. And here, once they heard that we're go for launch, everybody had to run back to the camera and work. It's a little bit of a different vibe, but I definitely think that people are excited, especially as we see now live inside of the White Room at the launch pad. The closeout crew has closed the launch abort system hatch. You saw there, we took it live. Took a lot of them. I think all of them, except for one. I think it took all 3 or 4 of them to push that hatch door close. And then they felt around the perimeter of the door to make sure that everything was sitting just right.
Right, yeah, we talked about how heavy the crew module hatch is. This hatch is just as heavy probably. And so, they're working the closure here and working those connections. And you can see, there's still 3, 4, 5 people that we can see in the White Room. It takes a lot of people to get these hatches closed and this rocket ready to launch.
Mm-hmm. And so the next step in the countdown is that this team will start closing out the White Room. So basically disconnecting things, stowing things, making sure that when they leave, there is nothing that isn't supposed to be there. And really, then at that point, it's just all 4 of the crew member, Victor, Reed, Christina, and Jeremy by themselves at the top of the launch pad.
Yeah, and then eventually that crew access arm will move away, and then it'll really just be them up on top of that rocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your eyes lit up when I said that. That's exciting. It is. It is.
Yeah, we had a moment, we talked a little bit about my fear of heights, but most of our crew is afraid of heights. And so there was a moment where I realized that it was just us, 100 and some odd feet up and
no way,
no crew access arm, and may or may not have said something that made everybody go, huh.
Were you wondering to yourself, how did I get here?
We're pretty far up.
That crew, again, bringing that drag-on camera. That camera is a handheld camera that is a live look for teams who are remotely watching these operations closely. Again, verifying that things are as they should be before the crew starts, the closeout crew starts leaving the White Room. You see them checking their procedures.
You can see they're covering the ends of those hoses. That's to protect those hoses from FOD, so we don't want any dirt or anything to get into those while we transport them and stow them. So you can see Andre there working to close out the hoses as well while they're cleaning up the White Room.
And so they'll tape that close. You just saw number 5. Number 5 holding some tools. Again, we'll stow those away. You have to account for everything. Obviously, they did have tools out. They did have procedures, paper, notes out. Like, all of that has to go.
Yes, and you can even see on number 3's hat, he's got a string that's connected to his suit there. Mm-hmm. That's, again, just to make sure that we don't lose anything. If, a gust of wind or you get knocked or something, you don't want to lose a single thing in the White Room. So everything is tethered, everything is accounted for, and everything is protected.
The crew now, another live view of them inside Orion. Jeremy, Christina, and Reed and Victor on the right side of your screen. What do you think they're thinking right now, Nicole?
Oh man, just over an hour to launch. There's probably a little bit of a lull right now, monitoring some systems, but you can see Reed's got his feet crossed. So I think just trying to relax and, pass the time by maybe thinking through the items that they're going to monitor through the launch, the different jobs that each of them have throughout the launch. And once they get to orbit, this first day on orbit is actually really busy for them. They've got, 2 burns that they have to monitor. They've got to get the system set up, and they've got to get the cabin set up. So there's a lot going on in the next 24 hours for this crew. I think they've got a couple sections where they get to take a nap, but I don't think they get a full night's rest for quite some time. So, going through what's next.
And so as we say that, I mean, imagine what it would be like to live in a spacecraft for 10 days. Let's take a look at what life will be like in Orion.
Artemis II is our first crewed mission back to the moon since the Apollo program. A lot of the focus of Artemis II is really checking out systems to be sure that we're ready and well positioned for continued human exploration. My name is Susan Baggerman, and I'm the Chief Health and Performance Officer for the Orion program and the Artemis II mission. And this is 10 Days in Orion. For this mission, the crew will launch in the Orion spacecraft on top of the Space Launch System rocket, or the SLS rocket. Once they've launched and achieved orbit, they'll continue on checking out many of the different critical Orion systems, check out some of the critical medical systems, and be sure that we understand how the crew would do that successfully within the volume of Orion. We also have, of course, systems to feed the crew. They have a potable water dispenser that they'll check out. And then we also have a food warmer, kind of looks like a suitcase that the crew can use to heat their food. They're also going to check out the flight wheel system. We'll have the crew perform some initial exercises. Part of that is to ensure that the flight wheel is actually working, but part of it is actually to be sure that our environmental control systems are actually working. For sleeping, the crew will sleep in sleeping bags. Some crew members like to be very tightly bound up, and some like to float very free. They'll use the toilet for the first time and be sure that it's able to flush. While they're on their journey, they'll do some testing that they quickly don their suit just to be sure that we would be ready in the future for an emergency. They'll also check out our radiation shelter. If we were to have a solar particle event, we would be asking them to take stowage out of the stowage bay and put it in some specific locations on the vehicle, basically for it to serve as shielding.
And so I want to talk a little bit more about what we just heard in that package. I am interested in the space food. So Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy have a pretty big menu to choose from, so that's really cool. We're actually going to pull up a graphic now that kind of shows you some of the food that they're going to have with them on their 10-day journey around the moon. We know of more than 10 types of beverages. There's coffee, a mango peach smoothie, apple cider, lemonade. So those all sound delicious. And now I've just remembered I haven't eaten lunch.
They're actually not too bad. I actually have a mango peach smoothie with me today.
No way.
Yeah. So you can see they come in these little packets here, but it's just kind of a dried powder that you add water to. So this would actually, you'd add 175 milliliters of water and let it sit for 2 to 5 minutes, and then you can stick a straw in it. You saw in that package they put a straw on the top septum portion there, and then you can drink it.
And so this is the packaging. This is food that you brought up with you, or that you had while you were at the ISS.
Yes, yeah. Actually, this is all food that we have available to us on the standard, what we call the standard menu on the space station. And so, actually, the graphic there showed quite a bit of the standard menu that they're going to take with them. So,
yeah, let's pull
space
it back
food
up,
is space
actually.
food. Yeah, we can use the food that we have been using. You know, our food lab at Johnson Space Center actually creates that food, and then they stabilize it and they package it for us and everything. So they do a really wonderful job out there. We've got different types of food. You know, you can see I've got this is a soup, tomato basil soup, so thermal stabilized. It's already hydrated, so you just throw it in that food warmer that we talked about, and then you can eat it. But then we also I have some shrimp cocktail here that's, you know, irradiated, so it's in a package that protects it. I'll show you. I've got a brownie too. This is probably my favorite one. But
are we eating
it's
it?
we might, if you're.
Yes. Look,
So-
see, they want us to eat. I don't know what happened, but it worked out with what we were saying here.
So it's in an outer package to help protect it against radiation, and then it's in this inner package. And so this cosmic brownie, actually, the trick, Anne McLean, my crewmate, taught me. The trick is you got to put this in the food warmer and get it nice and warm,
Ooh.
and then you can get it. But so what we do is we just take scissors and you open it up, and then it comes right out. So these brownies are nice because they don't have a ton of crumbs, and so you can actually just eat it pretty easily in space. If you imagine, that would not happen in space.
It
would not fall. But yeah, so we've got all sorts of things that you can actually eat. The menu's pretty good and pretty diverse on the space station, and then as you saw, pretty diverse for Orion.
Nice. Yeah, that's amazing. And again, here's a look at the crowd that's starting to continue to grow here as we get closer and closer to launch. We are now under an hour from the opening of our 2-hour launch window at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time. And so let's take some questions from social media. We haven't taken some of those for a while. You put that brownie away, Nicole, or I'm going to steal it. Nicole, we have another celebrity who submitted a question. Let's take a look.
Okay.
A quick question for the Artemis crew. What food from Earth would you bring with you into space? And why would it be lasagna? Because that's the greatest food.
Again, not really a question.
Yeah.
Because he was like, it's lasagna.
It's got to be lasagna. There is lasagna on Space Station, and it wasn't too bad. Probably not my favorite food of all, but yeah, lasagna's not a bad option. It's a high-calorie meal. If you're trying to, carb load for a spacewalk or something, it's a great option.
Yeah, I remember Christina saying that her favorite food on the menu, and actually, she was saying that she was getting in trouble because people kept on saying, you can't eat mac and cheese every day, Christina.
We mentioned the mac and cheese and brisket earlier. Man, I would put those two on a tortilla. That would be great.
That sounds delicious, delicious. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for sending in those questions. For everyone from a 5-year-old that we got a question from to all the way to Roy Woods Jr. there, a comedian. So thank you so much. And if you're just joining us, welcome to the Space Coast of Florida, where we are counting down to liftoff of Artemis II. You see a beautiful aerial shot there of our rocket on the pad. For the first time in more than 50 years, we are sending humans to fly around the moon and back, and we're taking you all of you with us on this next chapter of human spaceflight. I'm NASA's Megan Cruz, and this is NASA astronaut Nicole Ayers. Great to have you here, Nicole.
Yes, this has been a beautiful day. Excited. We're continuing to march towards this launch.
Yeah, and if all goes as planned, this crew could travel farther from Earth than any other humans before them and see parts of the moon no one has ever laid eyes on. How exciting.
Yes. Exciting is an understatement, I think.
That's true.
We're going to see the far side of the moon for the first time by humans in a long time. It's important.
And as the crowd, again, builds behind us, more activity that you're seeing here at the Kennedy Space Center press site. We also have a ton of people gathering around the world to watch this history-making moment. So let's take a look at those watch parties now.
Oh.
That crowd has grown. We checked with them probably like 30 minutes ago, and it was half that. But again, as we get closer and closer to launch, we are seeing more and more people gather together, wanting to experience this together and not just in a vacuum at home,
Yes, this is so exciting. Look at all of those people. Man.
And now here we are back in Seattle, the Museum of Flight. Again, people gathered there to show their kid. We see someone walking in the second row there. His first crewed launch to the moon. How exciting.
That is exciting.
Hello, everyone.
Woo.
Oh, that's so great. And now let's get you up to speed on what's happened so far. Again, we are now within an hour of the opening of our launch window. So what has been happening so far today? Well, a lot. After waking up and grabbing a bite to eat, our Artemis II crew suited up inside the historic crew quarters, a tradition that dates back decades. Teams helped them into their custom Orion crew survival suits, and just like other crews before them, they gathered around a table for a card game to pass the time, but to also burn off any lingering bad luck before they walked in the footsteps of every NASA astronaut launching from Kennedy Space Center since Apollo 7 in 1968. They walked outside the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout Building to greet a crowd of family, friends, supporters before getting into their Astrovan for their security-escorted ride out to historic Launch Complex 39B. They got a close-up look at the SLS rocket, then walked across the crew access arm and climbed one by one inside their Orion spacecraft. After that, teams conducted final checks with the crew before closing both hatches, the crew module hatch as well as what you're seeing there, the launch abort system hatch. And now we are back live at the pad where the closeout crew is getting ready to leave the White Room. They are now tethered, Nicole, because they are about to move some pieces that connect the Orion spacecraft to the White Room, correct?
Yes, there's kind of what I would call a shroud. You can see them working that there. So it is actually connected, so that way the gap between the crew access arm and the crew module, and well, I guess that's the LAS there, is covered. But they're about to remove that so that the crew access arm is not connected to the rocket in any way, so that it can retract here in the next few minutes.
And for how we're looking with the launch countdown milestones, let's go to Daryl Nail in the Launch Control Center.
All right, thank you very much, Megan. And as you can see there, the finishing touches, as you've been talking about, to the LAS, which brings me to that subject, because we currently are hearing the launch team is working an issue that was reported out with the LAS. At least there's an issue apparently with a battery on the LAS. The engineer who is in charge of the launch abort system sits on console here, reported that a temperature for one of the two LAS batteries is out of range, and although it's not a constraint for launch right now, it would be when that temperature is checked inside of T-minus 6 minutes, which is inside of terminal count. So right now the team is working some troubleshooting on this issue. Going to follow, of course, along closely with what they learn. But again, a battery temp for one of the two batteries on the LAS is out of spec, and the team is working to understand, first of all, whether or not this may be a sensor issue, or is there an issue with the battery itself. So again, looking into it, troubleshooting and researching as we speak. With regards to the weather, we did get some good news there. Launch Weather Officer Mark Berger reporting to the launch director that the weather chances have now improved for the window. We are up to 90% go, which is great news. Again, 90% go. That is up from the 80% that we started when we had the first weather forecast come out officially 3 days ago. And so that is great. And for anybody who's here in the launch area knows that is certainly viewable. They can see that by just looking up. So we're getting some good clearing as forecast. And then just a reminder for those people who are watching the launch from the nearby area that if you're watching on an internet-enabled device, just remember that there may be a little bit of a delay. Can't tell you how much of a delay, but since it's on an internet device, sometimes this broadcast might be a little behind what you're actually seeing. So just keep that in mind as you are watching. Don't wait till the last second to run outside if you're inside your RV or your camper or your house. That's the latest here from the firing room. Of course, we'll keep track of that last battery issue. We'll send it back now to Megan and Nicole at the host desk.
Two of them there had to be tethered to the inside of the white room, because obviously now we have detached the White Room from the Orion spacecraft.
Yes, that view is quite something.
Yeah, spectacular. Yep. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I forgot. Nicole's scared of heights. An astronaut afraid of heights is actually not uncommon, as we've learned today. But yes, so obviously, again, things proceeding as we march closer to the opening of our 2-hour launch window at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, the closeout crew just finishing up those last couple of things they have to do before leaving the White Room and then leaving the pad, leaving only the 4 Artemis II crew members inside the spacecraft by themselves at the pad.
Yeah, and then we'll be curious to follow the battery issue on the last as well. I think sometimes it's just a sensor issue, sometimes it's a battery issue. So hopefully they figure that out quickly.
Mm-hmm. And so if we can take a shot of the crew inside the capsule, if one's available, why don't we talk a little bit more about each of them? So we have Artemis II Commander Reed Wiseman, Baltimore native, and he's actually, you see his feet in that shot there from inside Orion. He's been in space once before as flight engineer for Expedition 41 aboard the International Space Station from May through November 2014. During the 165-day mission, Reed and his crewmates completed more than 300 science experiments in areas like human physiology, medicine, physical science, earth science, as well as astrophysics. They actually set a milestone for station science by completing a record 82 research hours in a single week. He also served as chief of NASA's astronaut office from December 2020 to December 2022. His 2 daughters were out to wave goodbye to him as he made his way to the launch pad. And again, there's Reed's feet. Reed is the one sitting in the seat to the right, closest to our camera there. So looks like he's relaxed by the body language of his feet.
Yeah, I think they're kind of in a holding pattern, if you will, or a waiting period. So it makes sense that he's a little bit relaxed. He's also kind of just a relaxed person in general. He's wicked smart, but has a demeanor that keeps everybody calm. And so I think we're seeing that here today.
And so in this shot, Reed is the one sitting on the left, and to his right, Artemis II pilot Victor Glover. NASA selected the California native as an astronaut in 2013, and at the time he was actually serving as a legislative fellow in the United States Senate. His first trip to space, November 2020, pilot of NASA's SpaceX Crew 1 mission. That was the first operational mission of NASA's Commercial Crew program, which resumed launching American rockets from American soil to the International Space Station since the end of the shuttle program. Victor is a U.S. Navy captain and naval aviator who served as a test pilot, racking up more than 3,500 flight hours in more than 40 different aircraft. So again, he probably feels pretty at home in the pilot seat of Artemis II.
Yeah, I think he does.
He got to say goodbye to his wife and 4 kids. Again, those were the family that he had here at Kennedy Space Center before the 4 of them drove out to the pad.
Yeah, and you can see there, we talked about Victor's energy earlier, and you can see him working through, pushing some buttons on the displays. Looked like he was pulling up a procedure, so he's following along and ready to go, looks like.
And then Mission Specialist Christina Cook, sitting on the upper left-hand corner of the screen there, native of Grand Rapids, Michigan, was selected to the Astronaut Corps in 2013, same class as Victor, served as flight engineer on the International Space Station from March 2019 to February 2020. During that time, she set a record for the longest single spaceflight by a woman with a total of 328 consecutive days in space. How cool. She also participated in the first ever all-female spacewalk. And before becoming an astronaut, Christina helped build space science instruments and led scientific fieldwork in some of the most remote environments on the planet. Her hobbies include surfing, rock climbing,
and
community
CDR,
service, yoga, and photography.
Go ahead, NCD.
There's a couple of suppressed overvolt messages. We're going to go ahead and clear those off your screen.
We see them and we copy.
All right.
NASA test director.
We're still working here, trying to get through everything. So we're getting close, and then trying to talk that other issue that we just picked up a little bit ago. But I think work-wise, we're doing really well.
Sounds good, NCD. We're doing great on board.
Glad to hear it.
NASA test director giving an update to the crew. Some messages flashed on their displays. Just wanted to say that they didn't have to worry about that. We're going to clear that. And that also just reassuring the crew, again, that they are tracking and working the issue with the launch abort system battery.
Yeah.
All right. And then first-time flyer, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen will fly to the moon as mission specialist on the Artemis II mission. The London, Ontario native selected as an astronaut in 2009. After that, he worked as Capcom at NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston. Capcom stands for Capsule Communicator and is the sole direct voice communicating with astronauts while in space. Jeremy also participated in training exercises, really cool ones, like living on the ocean floor off the coast of Florida to simulate deep space exploration for a week. In 2017, he became the first Canadian to lead a NASA astronaut class. He also enjoys getting out on a sailboat, rock climbing, and mountain biking. He has a wife and 3 children. And he's the one that you see bottom left-hand corner of your screen. I know, I'm trying to see what he's doing there. Christina's looking too. And so there is your Artemis II crew inside the Orion spacecraft. And this is actually the 7th time NASA astronauts will launch on a new NASA spacecraft designed for crew. And if you're wondering about the first 6 crewed test flights, here they are. Gemini 3, Gus Grissom, John Young, March 23, 1965. Apollo 7, Wally Schirra, Don Isley, Walt Cunningham, October 11, 1968. Space Transportation System, or STS-1, John Young, Robert Crippen, April 12, 1981. Then NASA SpaceX Demo 2, Doug Hurley, Bob Behnken, May 30th, 2020, followed by NASA's Boeing crew flight tests. Butch Wilmore, Sonny Williams, June 5th, 2024. And now, Artemis II with Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. It is really surprising, honestly, to hear that through all these decades, through all these launches we've had, this is only our 7th new vehicle that we're testing for crew.
Yeah, you know, we have so many different missions that we think about and we talk about, but really 7 vehicles that we've tested and that we're flying. You know, I like to think of spaceflight really as a permanent test, right? We have, you know, hundreds of missions or so. You know, an airplane that gets tested and then flown has thousands of data points. And so really spaceflight is always going to be in the test field. And I think it's important to remember that, especially as we put humans on rockets that we never have before, or for the 7th time we start a new vehicle and a new mission.
Just getting word now that White Room closeouts are complete. And so the closeout crew is preparing to leave the pad.
It's exciting stuff. We are making good time, and the closeout crew is doing really well.
41 minutes, 43 seconds and counting until the opening of our window. And Artemis II is a 10-day mission that will send the 4-person crew on a journey around the moon and back to Earth. It will be a critical step towards future lunar and Mars missions.
We're going back to the moon because it's the next step in our journey to Mars. We need to go explore the moon. There's vast regions of unexplored areas with the coldest, darkest places in our solar system. This is a test mission, and when we get off the planet, we might come right back home. We might spend 3 or 4 days around Earth. We might go to the moon. That's where we want to go, but it is a test mission, and we are ready for every scenario as we ride this amazing space launch system in the Orion spacecraft.
But another reason we're going back to the moon is to fulfill NASA's mission, which is to explore the unknown in air and space, to innovate for the benefit of humanity, and to inspire the world through discovery. And when we succeed and when we accomplish the things that we set out to accomplish, that inspiration not only can set up new things to happen, but it also is a reminder in tough times that we're capable of doing great things when we work together.
The thing I love about the moon is that it's not just a beacon for exploration and this platform of possibilities for incredible missions like this, but it has benefits. That's actually why we're racing towards it. Those benefits are really wide in nature. You have everything from innovation, technology development, not only for future missions going deeper into the solar system, but technologies that come back to Earth. You have inspiration, a whole generation of people starting this pipeline of STEM workers and manufacturers and operators that are excited to see what you can do when you work hard and you come together as a team.
When I think about the four of us flying around the far side of the moon, seeing that Earth rise, taking images and video and sending them back to you, the feeling that I have inside is hope. We know that Artemis II is not the solution for humanity on planet Earth, but it is a contribution in the positive column. We hope that just for a moment that people will pause and say, wow, it's extraordinary when you look back upon the Earth with over 8 billion people, and you see this concrete example of what humanity can do, this extraordinary thing when we set big goals
and CDR entity
to achieve them.
And so Mission Control Houston will control the flight of Orion after a liftoff here at Kennedy Space Center. Here's Gary Jordan, who's embedded with that team. Gary, you might have to pause because we did just hear a call out to the commander in Orion.
Will do, Megan. I think that was Commander Reed Wiseman responding to prepare for some of the next steps. We are now holding at the T-minus 10-minute hold. Expected a 30-minute hold. So we are well on the countdown. We are well on the timeline to meet this L- time and launch towards the beginning of the window, but continuing to track progress along the way. Again, I'm here with the Artemis II flight control teams in Mission Control Houston. The team in the room behind me has been monitoring the countdown and verifying their own mission-specific launch criteria of the Space Launch System, the Orion spacecraft integrity, and its crew. During the final poll before launch, if all looks good from each of the flight controllers in this room, Flight Director Judd Freeling will report a go for launch from Houston Flight. Upon liftoff, teams here take control of the mission and communicate with the crew while they fly on the Space Launch System. This phase of flight is highly dynamic, and each console position has a dedicated and important role of looking after critical systems. You'll hear calls from Capcom and NASA astronaut Stan Love in this room to the Artemis II crew as milestones are reached during the more than 8 minutes of powered flight on the core stage. Liftoff and ascent are just the beginning. This room will be staffed around the clock over the next 10 days to oversee every moment of the mission through splashdown. Here from the Johnson Space Center, we'll be streaming the mission live 24/7 so anyone can follow the crew's journey, take peeks inside the spacecraft, and share the experience of a lunar flyby with astronauts looking down at the moon's surface. Teams here have been rehearsing tirelessly in simulations to throw every conceivable and inconceivable scenario their way. We are ready and eager to begin the Artemis II mission. Still milestones to come as we continue the countdown, but we'll be right back with you during the ascent phase of today's flight. With that, Megan, I will send it back over to you at the Space Coast.
Thanks so much, Gary. Under 37 minutes until the opening of our 2-hour launch window, 6:24 p.m. Eastern. I've never been more excited for a time. But why don't we send it back over to Megan Carter with the Moon Board to learn more about what happens after ascent.
Absolutely. I am definitely also getting excited. Things feel like they're starting to pick up a little pace here. A lot is about to happen within the first 10 minutes of launch, but what happens after those first 10 minutes? Let me take you over here to my mission map so we can kind of jump ahead and let me explain a few things. So, our main engine cutoff is going to stand for MECO, and that is essentially where the rocket's job is done, and it is then going to turn the propulsion duties over to our ICPS. That stands for Interim Cryogenic Propulsion Stage. Don't try and say that too many times fast. But the ICPS is going to be right here, and that's our in-space propulsion. About 50 minutes into, after about 50 minutes into launch, it is going to conduct that first burn, and that's going to be the perigee raise maneuver. Essentially what that is going to do is going to raise the spacecraft from a lowest point of Earth just a little bit higher into space, and then they are going to conduct that nice path that's going to set them on that nice circular path around the Earth. That's when they're going to start to be able to really check out this spacecraft. The Orion spacecraft is going to be able to, like we've talked about, be maneuvered by the crew. They're going to check out those life support systems, and communication checkout's going to be vital at that point as well, obviously. Then they will be conducting that another burn, and that's going to raise them just a little bit higher again. And then they will, it'll be about time for the ICPS to separate, and they will start another lap around the Earth as well. Now, the ICPS, but even after it separates, its job will not be done because they will have the opportunity to conduct something called the Proximity Operations Demonstration. And this is going to be really important for our future lunar missions because the ICPS actually has a target on it, and the crew is going to have the opportunity to manually maneuver these spacecraft like we've mentioned and practice those docking maneuvers. Now, obviously, they will not be docking for this mission, but that is, again, going to be critical for those lunar missions in the future. Now, all right, after that ICPS has separated and they've done that second lap, they're going to conduct 2 more burns. And what these burns are going to do is set them up to the high enough orbit and a fast enough speed in order to conduct the translunar injection. This is going to be that critical moment and that critical milestone where they are going to produce about 6,000 pounds of thrust. And this is that point that is going to take them out of low Earth orbit into deep space, and it's going to set them on that nice path towards that lunar flyby. And I know we have talked a little bit about why this could be a record-breaking flyby and journey to the moon. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Megan so she can tell us just why.
Yeah, she's talking about the distance record set by the Apollo 13 astronauts in 1970. They were 248,655 miles away from Earth, and this Artemis II crew might surpass that on flight day 6 when they fly around the moon by more than 4,000 miles.
Yeah, it's a long ways. It's tough to fathom 250,000 miles from Earth, right? I mean, space, the space station is only 250 miles, and so we're going, I don't want to do the public math, but we're going much further than that. But, it's important, right, because we want to get back to the moon. We want to see the surface. We want to see the far side of the moon, and the way we do that is by breaking distance records.
Yeah, and the exact distance record depends on exactly when they launch, like the time, the day, so we'll learn more as we go into this 10-day mission with the Artemis II crew. But here we are, 32 minutes, 50 seconds and counting from the opening of our launch window. Feels really, really surreal here as more and more people come to gather on the press site lawn here at Kennedy Space Center. Why don't we take a look at this video that we have here? Some familiar faces who wanted to wish our Artemis II crew a safe journey.
Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, you are the real deal. You're flying to the moon for all of us, and we are in awe. You're the true heroes.
You are not just astronauts. You are pioneers, venturing deeper into the unknown. But you are not alone. We will be all cheering you on from planet Earth.
Hey, I'm Victor Wembanyama, and I play basketball in the NBA. But I'm not only interested in shooting hoops. I'm also interested in shooting stars, dark matter, and all other types of astronomical phenomenon. And to the Artemis II astronauts who are shooting for the moon, I wish them good luck and Godspeed.
Hi everybody, I'm Ryan Gosling, and I play a biologist who goes to space to save the planet in the film Project Hail Mary. But the Artemis II astronauts are going to space for real, and they will travel farther from Earth than any humans in history. Sending all our best wishes to the Artemis II crew.
I just want to say how proud I am of each of you and how inspired you make me. But it's not just about me. Your mission is going to inspire future generations of scientists, engineers, athletes, and dreamers to do something that they never thought possible.
Hey, it's Roy Wood Jr., and I want to wish the Artemis II crew a happy and safe journey to the moon, well, around the moon, to go around. I know what you're doing. You got to look for a parking space. This is to go around the moon, make sure it's somewhere to park, and then you park journey. Good luck.
It's actually a really good way to explain what how this mission builds. Again, we are hoping to land astronauts on the surface of the moon in maybe 2 years. So yes, we are looking around the moon on this lunar flyby mission to see where we might park. Thank you, Roywood Jr. Okay, and as we look at this live view of the rocket on the pad, there is a spectacular place here at Kennedy Space Center to watch launch from, and that's the Banana Creek viewing area. Why don't we go back there where the crowd is excited, and Leah has the best assignment ever talking to people who are super excited about being here for Artemis II.
Oh my gosh, Megan, you talk about the excitement being palpable. I'm telling you, everybody here on pins and needles as we get just about half an hour away from launch. I've been walking around talking to people, and I'm just struck again and again by how many people are here from across the agency. I want to introduce you to just a small portion of the people across NASA who have been supporting this mission.
Patty Ortiz, NASA Armstrong Flight Research Center, Orion program.
Orion.
Kathy Graves, Glenn Research Center, Office of STEM Engagement.
David Alexander, NASA Glenn Research Center, Office of STEM Engagement.
Jennifer Becerra, Johnson Space Center of the Office of STEM Engagement.
Here we go, right back here. Where are you from?
I'm from NASA Glenn Research Center, Joseph Panakitis.
Joseph, here we go.
Wes Furman from APL.
Maria Arredondo from Headquarters, Next Gen STEM.
Mark Robinson, Stennis Space Center, Commercial Space.
Amira Flores, Armstrong, Office of the STEM Engagement.
Molly Kearns, NASA Glenn, Space Communications and Navigation.
Matthew Pierce, Goddard Institute for Space Studies in New York City.
Here we go, and right over here.
Lauren Ring, Ames Research Center, Data Integration.
So we're coming together. We're one big NASA team, one big NASA family, and we have one major message before we launch tonight. Okay, guys, what are we going to say? 1, 2, 3. Go
Oh my gosh, that made me so emotional. That was so inspiring to see. I mean, wow, yeah, that was great. I mean, just to hear everybody say their position, what they're doing to support this mission is amazing. And I'm sure this was something that really rang true and resonated with NASA's Administrator Jared Isaacman, again, to see the workforce come together to do the work and then to be here for launch. So why don't we actually go over to him now with our Jasmine Hopkins at one of our other viewing locations.
All right, Megan, thank you so much. The energy here on the balcony is honestly becoming electric as we get so close to launch, and now we are thrilled to welcome NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. Jared, we're really entering a golden age of exploration. How will Artemis II set the pace for the coming years?
Well, I mean, Artemis II is the opening act, right? This is the test mission. This is getting very comfortable with the SLS rocket, the Orion spacecraft. No humans have ever flown on this before, right? And we're going to put it through its paces. We'll go into Earth orbit for a little bit, make sure Orion's doing okay, and then we are sending them, right? We're going to send them farther into space than any humans might have gone before, 250,000 miles away, and it's going to set up for the subsequent missions. That's why we're going into the golden age of science and discovery right now, because you're going to see a moon rocket launch in 2027 when we do our testing with the lander. We're going to go for the landing on Artemis IV in 2028, and in parallel, we're going to build the moon base, right? And that is going to be filled with science discovery and tech demonstrations that's going to support the enduring presence we're trying to create on the surface.
Absolutely. So honestly, history-making years ahead of us, you know, with Artemis 3 and 4. But first is Artemis 2. What will be our single greatest takeaway from this mission?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, after ignition, to me, the moment that I'm going to be most excited for is splashdown. There's no question about that. Good shoots coming down off the West Coast. But look, I think the takeaway from this is gaining extreme comfort in the Orion spacecraft, right? I mean, this is very different than what we've done for more than a half century, right? I mean, the velocities that spacecraft is going to re-enter at, it's going to be new territory for us. We want to get our arms around that completely. So I would say the performance of SLS plus Orion is everything on this one. We want to make sure we do it in as a safe way as we possibly can, understanding what we are undertaking right here, bring our crew back, learn as much as we can from the vehicle, set up for Artemis 3 in 2027.
Right. And Administrator, we've actually had a pretty young audience today here, some kids running around the balcony. How do you hope Artemis 2 inspires that next generation?
You know, I talk about this all the time. Like, you know, one of our overarching KPIs that we should always be tracking is the number of people living and working in space. possible. You know what's another strong number 2 on that one? It's the number of kids that are dressing up as astronauts for Halloween so that they grow up, that they're inspired to want to join in this grand endeavor, whether they come work with us here at NASA or they join in industry, but they're helping humankind venture out farther, pursue all the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of kids dressed as astronauts this year. And finally, Jared, you've really made it a personal mission to get to know the people behind the work at NASA. Do you have any final thoughts, any final words before today's history-making launch?
Yeah, well, one, I want to express a lot of appreciation. I'll tell you what, the 4 astronauts on top of Artemis II know this. It takes an army to pull a mission together like this, right? Across all 10 of our centers, all of our commercial partners, the international partners that come together to make this possible. My sincere appreciation for everyone who is currently working the mission right now, so getting them ready for launch, that will be watching over them in mission control, recovering this crew when they splash down off the West Coast. I have complete trust and confidence in your abilities. And everybody else who's not directly working on Artemis II, Artemis III is coming up next year. When this mobile launcher gets back in the VAB, we're going to start stacking.
Wow, plenty of excitement ahead of us. Jared Isaacman, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Of course. All right. And with that, let's get back to the countdown with NASA's Megan Cruz.
Under 25 minutes and counting from the opening of our 2-hour launch window, and take a look at all these people behind us. I literally, every moment I turn around and I see the clock, I am like, oh, wow. Oh, wow.
There are more people and less time.
Yes, exactly, which is a great problem to have. Yes. Now, this first crewed test flight of NASA's Artemis program coincides with the 250th anniversary of our country's founders signing the Declaration of Independence. Exploration is a part of America's DNA, and it continues now with our return to the moon.
250 years ago, 13 colonies laid the foundation for the greatest and most enduring democracy in the history of the world. One driven by courage, faith, and freedom. From that moment, we became a nation defined not by where we stood, but by how far we were willing to go. We conquered vast frontiers, invented tools that shaped a modern world. We found light in the dark, and we rose from the earth. Faster, higher, farther. We pushed beyond the sky and into the unknown. We carried our courage into the cosmos, and we planted the American flag on the moon, the defining achievement of American superiority in space. Today, our curiosity stretches farther than ever. American robots search ancient rivers on Mars. New telescopes unfold to glimpse the first stars. And a new generation prepares to return to the moon, this time to stay. For 250 years, America has carried the light of humanity forward. But American exceptionalism isn't inherited, it's earned. Our greatness comes not only from what we've done, but what we're still determined to discover. Because in every era, across every horizon, America is at its best when it's reaching for something greater. America celebrates 250 years, and we are leading the world into the future.
22 minutes, 15 seconds and counting from Artemis II, NASA's boldest test flight in a generation. The crew has said this often, that they hope it inspires children around the world. And recently, a group of kids here at Kennedy Space Center got a surprise of a lifetime while watching that rocket roll to the launch pad.
So tell me what color it is. Orange! Orange! And who's going to be on that rocket?
We're going to be on that rocket.
We're going to be on that rocket!
I can make it a little bit longer. Did you see it? Okay, so everybody's looking at the rocket because it is kind of cool and impressive. One of the coolest things happening over there right now, though, is it's on top of a giant tractor.
Doesn't all food come in like tubes? It's in these like little plastic bags. You have to like rehydrate it. Sushi. There's not. I haven't seen sushi in space. It's probably hard to keep that back.
Constructed sushi mashed together.
My favorite part was this one little girl. She had a question. She had patiently held her hand for a long time, and Christina turns to her and says, "Okay, what's your question?" She just goes, "I forgot." It was like, that's a perfect little kid moment. I just love it.
Wait, are you my mother's cats too, astronauts?
What? Say that again?
Never mind. It is hard to say. Go Artemis!
These two, yeah. Put it on your hand. Yeah. There you go. I like your dabbing astronaut back there.
It's just so fun to see the enthusiasm, the energy, and a little bit of chaos.
3, 2, 1.
Wasn't that so cute?
I love kids and their excitement and, even just being real. Like, I don't remember what I was
I know,
gonna
he goes, but I'm glad you're here. Now here we are, Space Center Houston. The crowd has exponentially grown throughout the day. We started showing you live shots from in there probably an hour ago, and now take a look at all the people there getting ready to witness history together. It's something really special to be able to witness something like this together.
Yeah, we've heard from celebrities and officials and kids, and it's amazing. People from all around the world came here today to Florida to watch. So it's something. It's hard to put into words just how much support for this mission we're seeing today.
And great news too. Remember, the team was tracking an issue with the launch abort system battery. They appear to have cleared that issue, so we are go for launch.
Yes, it's exciting.
U.S. Space and Rocket Center here, Huntsville, Alabama, waving to the Artemis II crew sitting right there inside Orion. Inside of 20 minutes from the opening of our launch window, and right now we are targeting the top of that launch window, so we could be launching here in about 19 minutes, Nicole.
Wow, I don't know if I expected this today. I'm excited, and I'm glad they were able to clear the problem with the battery on the LAS, and everything has gone really smoothly today. It's been great. The weather cleared up. It's a beautiful day for a launch.
And so now, as we are so close to possibly launch now, just what are your final thoughts as we are about to embark on a mission back to the moon, the first time in more than 50 years?
Yeah, just so proud of the crew and all of the teams here on the ground that made this happen. They are carrying the torch from the Apollo era into the Artemis era. And, it's the crew likes to say they want to be the shoulders that the next generation.
And let's see, JLS, can you help us with that, please?
They want to be the crew wants to be the shoulders that the next generation can climb on.
001.
I think it's in their patch. We're going for all. It's in the name of their capsule, integrity, representing humility and the professionalism of everyone that got them there today. So proud of them. We love them. We're excited for them, and we cannot wait to see what they see.
Just leveraging everything we've learned so far as an agency, taking us from Apollo now to the launch pad here, 39B, with Orion and SLS poised to again fly us into the history books. And before we leave you now here at the host desk to get back into operations, we just wanted to answer one question for you guys. We asked you earlier on today, what are you most excited for? And we asked you to go vote on Instagram and Twitch. Instagram, you guys said launch. Twitch, you guys said lunar flyby. So I think you guys will all be very excited since we are now about 17 minutes from the opening of our launch window today. And so with that, as we approach terminal count, let's send it back to Daryl Nail in firing room 1. Daryl.
All right, thank you, Megan and Nicole, and just want to give you an update on the launch abort system that you just reported that they cleared. They believe, they're convinced, this is an instrumentation failure. So there are 2 batteries on the LAS. The LAS, of course, and with the help of my 2-year-old son's model rocket. Daniel said I could use this, so it's okay. The last is right here. It's the tower above Orion. Orion capsule's inside of here. It's used to pull Orion off the rocket in case the rocket is something's going on with the rocket, either on the pad or in flight. 2 batteries are bad. Well, I'm sorry. One of the 2 batteries reported an out-of-family temperature, and it was very much out of family. And so they checked their data going back into the vehicle assembly building where they recharged the batteries and worked on them. And they have good, solid data, they reported, that tells them that this is an instrumentation failure, that there's something wrong with the sensor. And so they took it before the mission management team, which has to accept the risk, any changes to launch commit criteria, which this would be one, and they all fully accepted it. So now we are clear as far as that constraint is concerned. And one quick thing as we count down now, we are getting into the final minutes before liftoff. There's a 2-hour window. We haven't quite set the T0 yet, but this is a list of the cutouts. There are 150 cutouts that are included for this 2-hour launch window, and that's important. They're in very small print. That's important because there's basically 16 minutes inside this window that they cannot launch, and these are because of small things flying in orbit. There's a lot more things in orbit than there were back in Artemis 1 when we had 35 to 40 cutouts. For that reason, because of these 156 cutouts, they're going to be managing the launch window as we go forward. So they may have to wait out one of these cutouts. They range in time between 2 seconds to 23 seconds, but you'll hear the NASA test director talk through that. We're getting ready to merge that loop from NASA test director Jeff Spaulding. And so now I'm listening to the launch team get ready to merge their operational channel. We're now entering one of the most consequential phases of launch day, and that's terminal count, the final 10 minutes.
And OTC, NTD, N212 for comm check?
Good, comm. How me?
I hear you the same. STC?
2.
GTC?
GTC is on 212.
All right, copy that.
NASA Test Director Jeff Spaulding confirming communications with his team. There will be 2 polls that we'll hear. One from Spaulding, the NASA Test Director, confirming the ground systems and the launch team are ready to proceed. At this point, we have a clear board, no constraints, but we need confirmation from each individual on the NASA Test Director team. So we'll hear him poll his team. The other poll that we're waiting for is the poll from Launch Director Charlie Blackwell Thompson, who will take that final status from NASA management before giving the go to come out of a hold. And you're seeing the clock count down at L-12 minutes.
CCL, OTC, Orion, Earth-1.
CCL.
Yes, sir. Reconfigure ARS primary loop ISO valves.
Copy, that's in work.
And CDR, OTC, Orion, Earth-1.
Go.
ARS loop ISO valves are being closed at this time.
Integrity copies. NGDLP.
Go.
Yes, I had a discussion with CIS and with MER Manager regarding the observation the CIS had a few minutes ago. They were able to confirm with BCI photos that the condition that they observed has been there since 2025. MER Manager has had a chance to review the findings, and they do not have any constraints from either a CIS or MER Manager perspective.
Okay. Copy all. And Launch Director, NTD, you copy?
Yes, sir. I copy. That's good news.
OTC, CCL 212.
OTC.
ARS primary loop isolation valve configuration is complete.
Copy.
And CGLS NTD, cancel pending, please.
GLS copies, and that's complete.
All right, and for all personnel, we got a little bit more work to do before we pick up the clock, and we're about a little over a minute from getting to T-minus 10 minutes. But we've canceled the resume time there, and then we'll pick it up after we get through all of our work and anything else that we need to do to get through the remainder of counts. So we'll continue working that to get to our T0 today. So when we get to about 50 seconds from now, we'll extend that hold.
CVSE OTC.
CVSE 400-290, looking to verify that we are configured for ascent. Yep, give me about 2 more minutes. I'm going to start CMA2 streaming. Copy.
NTD COSE hold requested.
Copy that.
I have an LCC violation of O-CT-004, S-band transponder anomaly. This was a transient LCC violation, so transponder 1 had a demodulated SNR estimate that went down to 2 dBm when it should have been between 10 and 13. It is now back up to 12, but we did lose that for just a moment. It does not appear that we lost our bit sync or carrier lock, which would be indicative that we lost our lock with the vehicle. So at this point, recommendation would still be go. However, we do have a pre-planned contingency procedure if we want to look at that. But again, this is transient, so we're back in a nominal range.
All right, let's see, LPE NTD.
Yeah, we're not seeing that hit. So I guess the question for COSE, was that less than 3 samples? Is that below our persistence?
Stand by, let me look. It did look like it did persist for several seconds on mine, but let me take a look at the number of samples.
Could I get a repeat on the affected LCC, please?
Yes, ma'am, that's going to be O-CT-004.
Thank you.
Yeah, us taking a look at the data right here, looks like that was a single sample.
Yeah, copy that. RFTS does report that they also lost lock for about 5 seconds. So I would love to ask KUS and see if they also lost lock with the vehicle for any extended amount of period.
And COSE, while we're doing that, these are 1/10 hertz measurements, correct? So we would have had to lose it for over 10 seconds to get a second sample?
Yes, sir, that's correct. It is 1/10 hertz.
Yeah, so from our perspective, the allowance is effectively up to 30 seconds, up to 3 samples based on the 1/10 hertz. This is not an LCC violation, I believe.
Yes, sir, I would agree with that at this point. Copy that.
We're checking with KUS on 232. I don't think they have 212 access. We're trying to verify, but it sounds like they have a loss of lock as well. About 2 seconds.
Okay. And I guess for both KUS and COSE, do we have lock now?
That's affirmed. We do have lock for COSE.
Yeah, so from the integration console perspective, we did have a temporary loss there within the allowable, and per the requirement, let's go. And this is Houston Flight. We have lock and we have good telemetry here in GSE.
And KUS is reported to they have good lock now. So with all of that, OSC, then are we in a go configuration per your LCC?
Yes, sir. Recommendation would be go.
Okay. LP, you concur with that?
Yes, sir. LP concurs go.
And Launch Director?
Yes, sir. Launch Director concurs go.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and just verify everybody has everything else complete, Launch Director, and if we do, we'll be ready to pick up the poll at that time, unless there's something else that you're aware of.
No, sir. Let's verify all our work is complete, and I would like one last check of our constraints list.
All right, let's see. OTC, are you still waiting for ComConfig, or are you complete?
That is
with
affirmed,
everything?
sir.
Okay, so that your only open item?
Yeah, OTC, this is CVSC. That 400 step 290 is complete.
Copy. Okay, so OTC, you're complete with all of your work?
That's affirmed.
All right, copy that. STC?
STC is complete.
And GTC?
GTC is complete.
Okay, excellent. All right, and LPE, just want to verify we have no open constraints at this time.
No open constraints. We have a clear board, sir.
Okay, tracking the same here. And Launch Director, with that, we are clear and ready to pick up the launch readiness poll with your go.
All right, sir, I am go for the poll.
All right. And for all personnel, this is the NTD conducting the Artemis II launch readiness check. Verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC.
OTC is go.
STC.
STC is go.
GTC.
C's go.
MCO.
CO's go.
Safety Console.
Safety Console is go.
LPE.
LPE's go.
RTD.
RTD's go.
Houston Flight.
Houston Flight is go.
ROC.
ROC is go.
And CDR.
Crew is go.
Copy that. Thank you, Reed. And Launch Director, NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
All right, NTD, I copy all. At this time, I'll perform my poll. Attention on the net. This is the Launch Director performing the final poll for launch. Verify no constraints and go for launch. EGS, Program Chief Engineer.
Artemis Chief Engineers are go.
Copy, thank you. EGS, Chief Safety Officer.
The Artemis CSOs are go.
Copy, thank you. Range Weather.
Launch weather is go.
Thank you, LWO. And Artemis MMT Chair.
MMT's go.
Thank you, John. And Integrity Launch Director.
Good to hear your voice, Charlie. PLT.
Thank you, Charlie. This is Victor. We are going for our families.
MS1.
This is Christina. We are going for our teammates.
MS2. This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity. All right, Charlie, your Artemis II crew is go for launch. Full send.
I copy that. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis II. Let's go. And NTD Launch Director.
Go ahead, Launch Director.
Yes, sir. You have a go to proceed with countdown.
Copy that. I'll put it in work. CDR, NTD.
Go.
Figure risers and initiate short purge per your EPROC 10.1.1, steps 8 and 9.
10.1.1, 8 and 9 going to work.
Copy. CVSE, NTD. Start and verify recordings of our Orion cameras.
Copy.
Okay. Well, there you heard it.
RSR, NTD.
RSR.
They're getting ready to start terminal count.
arm rotation enable at this time, please.
It's currently at T-minus 10 minutes. Once we wrap up this last bit of work,
SNA arm rotation enable complete.
we're going to start that clock.
Copy that. Thank you.
Integrity crew, close and lock visors.
You heard an issue, worked in real time with telemetry lock on the Orion. It was transitory. It was very short. They checked the data, confirmed that they had a good lock. This was with the S-band transmitter on the Orion. Worked through that issue, looked at the data, and cleared it. All with the world watching. Impressive work by the launch team. So we have a 2-hour window which starts in just a few minutes at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time and goes until 8:24 p.m. Eastern Time.
And ECL NTD will be waiting for your verification on the short purge.
ECL copies.
And for all personnel, once we get that short purge verification, we'll verify that we are clear to go, and then we'll proceed with the terminal count. ECL time estimate?
About a minute.
Copy.
So we're going into the launch window, but not by much, it looks like. Just wrapping up some final work. And once that's completed, you'll hear NASA Test Director Jeff Spaulding ask for the ground launch sequencer operator to go ahead and start the clock. The ground launch sequencer is an application software. It runs on top of the launch control system in the firing room. Acts like a conductor of an orchestra, executing hundreds of commands in precise order and timing. It's all autonomous.
NTD CCL 212, short purge initiation is verified.
All right, copy that, and we're verifying our constraints. All right, and we're clear from cutouts. And with that, we're going to resume the clock momentarily. And CGLS, you can resume the clock on your mark.
GLS copies. 3, 2, 1, mark. GLS mainline has been initiated.
T-minus 10 minutes and counting.
And that begins terminal count. Our new T0 is 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We are now counting down to liftoff of Artemis II. From now on, you're going to hear two voices on the loops. If everything goes nominally, NASA Test Director Jeff Spaulding, who's directly managing the launch team, and Alex Bendelos, the GLS operator who closely monitors the software. He has the ability to stop and restart the countdown. A lot of people ask about whether there's a launch button. There certainly is not.
Flight and Rock, our new T0 is 22:35:12.
Houston flight copies. Rock copies. 22:35:12.
Affirm.
There you heard confirmation of the exact T0, 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Again, our T0 is 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. But as I was saying, there's no launch button. This is autonomous. But there is a button that keeps you from launching, and that button allows the GLS operator to pause the countdown outside of terminal count and during terminal count and submit a hold to the next holding point. So the clock won't stop right away. If there's an issue, we'll go to the next stable holding point. This is how GLS configures the rocket and ground systems to a stable point where they can stop the countdown if that's needed. But right now, we are counting down. Our next big milestone, looking to retract the crew access arm.
GLS is go for crew access arm retract.
And there you see the crew access arm moving away. That's the path that the astronauts took to ingress into the rocket. Until this point, that was their way off the pad if they needed to evacuate. But now with that arm retracting, the backup transitions to a launch abort system. And they'll begin arming that shortly. Of course, the launch abort system, great shot there of the crew access arm retracting away. The launch abort system is the tower at the top, and that's what would pull Orion and its crew off the top of the rocket in case of an emergency, whether it's on the ground or in flight. This is critical safety hardware that protects the lives of the astronauts. Starting at T-minus 6 minutes, the GLS will start bringing that and other high-energy systems online, starting with core stage pressurization. Weather is 90% go. The range is go. All systems are go.
GLS is go for core stage tank pressurization.
That means the replenish valve for the liquid hydrogen tank has now closed, and that tank is beginning to pressurize to flight levels because that hydrogen is naturally boiling inside the tank. We'll get the liquid oxygen tank a little later in the count. Now the team is waiting for verification that, if needed, the Artemis II crew could use the launch abort system to pull Orion safely off the top of the rocket in an emergency. Let's listen in for that call.
GLS verifies last capability available.
And CDR, do you copy?
CDR copies, last available.
That's great news, and you heard the NTD verify that with the commander of the mission.
GLS is go for FTS arm.
Now work is being done to arm the flight termination system. This is so the range safety can send a flight termination command if the rocket flies too far off track. There is a brief built-in delay so the launch abort system has time to pull the astronauts to safety first.
GLS is go for LH2 high flow bleed check.
All right, the high flow bleed check. That's so the cryo team gets verification that the RS-25 engines, all 4 of them, are in the proper temperature range for launch.
GLS is go for core stage APU start.
Core stage APUs start. Those are auxiliary power units, high-speed turbines which provide pressure to hydraulic pumps that steer the RS-25 engines. We're going to see a gimbal test a little later at T-minus 2 minutes and 30 seconds. This is what allows that to happen. Coming up in about 20 seconds. We're listening for go for purge sequence 4. That's a helium purge of the 4 core stage engines downstream of the propellant valve. This gets all the air and moisture out of there.
GLS is go for purge sequence 4.
Moving through the milestones. All is looking good. Coming up in just a few seconds, we're going to get that thrust vector control actuator test. This is a gimbling of the engines. There are the 4 RS-25s, 3 of them Shuttle Heritage, 1 of them built from shuttle parts. And there you see them moving. Now we're going to start moving the power from both the upper stage and the lower stage of the rocket to internal, taking ground power away and now going to battery power.
GLS is go for upper stage to internal power.
All right, power is removed from the rocket's upper stage, the ICPS, and it's been switched to battery. Same milestone for the lower core stage coming up at T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds. Right now, the 4-person Artemis II crew is 248,000 miles away from the moon. And if all goes well, they will fly by it in 6 days.
GLS is go for core stage to internal power.
All right, there's the rocket's core stage, which houses 3 flight computers, is now on its own power. There's no more hold time because there's no more margin on these batteries. So we would have to recycle back to T-minus 10 to recharge if we had a hold.
One minute.
Right now the rocket does not know what the T0 is, but coming up at T-minus 33 seconds, control shifts from the ground launch sequencer to the rocket's onboard autonomous launch sequencer, or ALS. The rocket will count itself down, but honor any holds that could come from the ground. Now, shortly after liftoff, Houston will take control of the rocket, and my colleague Gary Jordan will take over commentary.
GLS is go for ALS.
Great call out. The rocket is on its own. 4 brave explorers ready to ride the most powerful rocket NASA has ever launched. Sound suppression water is flowing.
15.
And here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
Houston, now controlling the flight of Integrity on the Artemis II mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT high.
On time, passing 30 seconds into the flights. Integrity passes the alternate beacon. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on the fluorinated engines. Space Launch System core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour. Mission elapsed time, passing 1 minute, approaching max Q.
On, Ponce de Leon.
Stan, we have you loud and clear on Ponce de Leon.
Have you the same.
Communication signal transfer confirmed as Integrity and its crew go supersonic. Approaching 90 seconds into the Artemis II mission. Integrity is 14 miles in altitude, 8 miles downrange, traveling more than 2,600 miles per hour. Minute 50 seconds of mission elapsed time, standing by for main engine throttle down to 85%, ahead of solid rocket booster separation, expected at the 2-minute 9-second mark. We see throttle down. Confirmed separation. Main engines throttling up, guidance converged.
Integrity, guidance converged, performance nominal, upper stage RCS ready.
Copy all, Stan.
Integrity, SM priming complete.
SM priming complete.
2 minutes 45 seconds of mission elapsed time into the Artemis II mission. Thrusters on Integrity and upper stage confirmed in a ready state ahead of service module fairing separation. Three minutes into the flight. Integrity 49 miles in altitude, 78 miles downrange, now passing 5,000 miles per hour. Standing by for launch abort system jettison.
Houston Integrity, good last jettison, great view.
Copy jettison, Team Eco 8+02.
We see the same on board, Stan.
And Houston has you loud and clear on TDRS at the Kármán line.
Outstanding, Stan, we have you the same.
3 minutes 50 seconds into the flight of Artemis II, Wiseman, Glover, Cook, and Hansen cross the boundary to space with good comm checks. GPS signals acquired after last jettison now working on internal checks to verify accuracy. Flight Dynamics Officer analyzed the time of main engine cutoff, confirmed at 8 minutes 2 seconds, time of MECO.
Integrity, GPS processing.
Outstanding, Stan, we see the same, and we have a beautiful moonrise. We're headed right at it.
Approaching 5 minutes into the flight, Commander Reed Wiseman confirms he has visuals of his destination. GPS guidance, navigation, and control software finishes internal checks and sends to navigation channels.
Integrity, 3 engine press.
3 engine press.
On time, now passing 5 minutes 20 seconds of mission elapsed time into the Artemis II mission. At this point, 3 good main engines are all that's needed to carry Integrity to a nominal main engine cutoff target. Though at this time, we're seeing 4 good engines here in Mission Control Houston. Integrity, 75 miles in altitude, 330 miles downrange, approaching 10,000 miles per hour.
Integrity, looking good at 6 minutes.
Same on board, Stan.
Good trajectory and engine performance. Booster officer will soon report the shutdown plan to Flight Director Judd Friedling, expected at the 7-minute mark. Integrity, 78 miles in altitude, 460 miles downrange.
Integrity, expect nominal shutdown.
Integrity copies nominal shutdown.
6 minutes 40 seconds of mission elapsed time. Shutdown plan is as expected. Again, the time of MECO was confirmed at 8 minutes 2 seconds into the flight. Seven minutes of mission elapsed time. Throttling down as we approach the abort once around option. Milestone at the 7-minute 30-second mark. Now 84 miles in altitude, 650 miles downrange, traveling more than 15,000 miles per hour.
Integrity, AOA open.
AOA open.
The window is now open for an abort once around option that would target splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. Still following nominal ascent at this time. About 10 seconds remaining until the main engine cutoff of the Space Launch System core stage. Standing by for confirmation of MECO and core stage separation.
Integrity and nominal MECO, core stage separated.
We see the same on board, Stan.
Eight minutes, 40 seconds into the flight, we have a nominal main engine cutoff heading in the right trajectory on the way to swing around the moon. Core stage has separated, done its job. The Space Launch System upper stage, the Inner Rim Cryogenic Propulsion Stage, or ICPS, still attached to the Orion spacecraft. Nine minutes of mission elapsed time. Integrity crew of Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen now in orbit around the Earth at the beginning of their journey to the moon.
Integrity Houston, looking ahead to PRM numbers so far per the pad.
Copy that, Stan. Numbers for the pad.
Capcom Stan Loves now reminding the crew that the perigee raise maneuver time of ignition is as expected prior to booster ignition. That time being 49 minutes, 50 seconds of mission elapsed time.
Integrity, good. NEDS deploy.
Copy that, Stan. Good, Neds.
And Integrity Houston for PWD setup. Just a reminder, halfway open on the secondary.
We copy that, Stan. Halfway open.
Passing 11 minutes of mission elapsed time. Here, overhearing the conversation between Capcom Stan Love and Commander Reed Wiseman, already passing some milestones. We have a good nozzle extension deployment system. That is confirmed. Complete. We also have the visors are confirmed up. Now past the dynamic phase of flight, that is ascent. Their launch and entry suits that provided them an extra layer of protection. Now not as needed. They're going to raise those visors. And later in today's mission, they will begin to egress or get out of the suits to begin some of their initial tasks of activating some of the systems aboard in the Integrity spacecraft. It's passing 12 minutes of mission elapsed time. Again, the perigee raise maneuver that's targeted near 50 minutes of mission elapsed time, 49 minutes, 50 seconds. That's what the crew is going to be working towards. The Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover will focus on preparing for that milestone. In the meantime, mission specialist Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen will start some of the activation of environmental control life support systems. You may hear confirmation of their activation over the Orion to Earth communication network.
Houston, C3 aux power back in auto.
Copy C3 aux, and we're 2 minutes to maneuver.
"13 minutes and 30 seconds of mission elapsed time. We're going to continue to follow the crew of the Artemis II mission. They are beginning their journey around the moon to verify the systems that will take us to its surface. An incredible ascent. Artemis II is underway. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen begin their journey to the moon. Still milestones to come up as we await solar array deploy and the critical burns that will get Integrity into high Earth orbit around the Earth before engines are fired to get us around the moon. We'll keep tabs on Integrity and its crew from here in Mission Control Houston. But for now, we're going to send it back to you, Megan and Nicole at the Kennedy Space Center. Very jealous to hear how the launch experience was over on the Space Coast.
Yeah, Gary, if people are just joining us, welcome back to the Space Coast, where we just saw Artemis II lift off 14 minutes ago. And wow, what an amazing launch, and an emotional one, too. As soon as the rocket lifted off, Nicole, you had tears in your eyes, I had tears in my eyes, and we had all these people around us cheering. It was amazing.
Yeah, the energy was wonderful. I mean, it was a beautiful launch. We've got 4 friends and family members headed to the moon. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. How does that make you feel as someone who, is an astronaut as well, but also, as you said, friends?
Yeah, so proud of them. Man, we don't have the words in the English language to describe this kind of an event, and pride, love, so many emotions. They are truly breaking some barriers, and hopefully, as Gary just said, they've got a long day ahead of them, so wishing them well on everything. But so far, what a beautiful launch to watch.
Yeah, to be returning to the lunar orbit in more than 50 years. Maybe they go farther from Earth than any other humans before them. Maybe they see parts of the moon that we've never seen before. I mean, what a great start to what could be all of these milestones that we break in just a 10-day mission.
Yes, what a way to welcome in the Artemis generation.
Yeah, how do you feel? I mean, we saw some beautiful shots we were covering of course, the rocket, of course, the Earth falling away as we continued up into our ascents, but also some of those crowd shots where we saw young and old just emotional, overcome by this history-making moment.
Man, we are going back to the moon for all, and we saw that today. We saw that in all the crowds. And yeah, you guys just saw that view, the sunrise or sunset, I guess. They just made it over the crest of the Earth, and you could see the sun peeking over. One of my favorite views from space. And I can't imagine what they're looking at now, and I can't wait to see what they're looking at in about 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are like, I'm surprised this launched on the first try, because we know, like any little thing, we have to be keeping safety in mind, and we want to make sure we're ready to go. But we were ready to go, and I think it surprised a lot of people. What a wonderful surprise on this Wednesday evening.
It did, and it kind of surprised me as well. But, it's just a testament to the team here that has been working so hard on Artemis. Artemis 1, we learned a ton of lessons. We learned a ton from the wet dress for Artemis 2. We were able to go in, fix those things. We even had a couple mishaps today, not mishaps, but a couple, anomalies today that the team creatively came up with solutions for. It's just a testament to the teamwork that gets us to the moon.
And so we can continue to watch Christina, Reed, Victor, and Jeremy on their way now to the moon in Earth's orbit and awaiting the next in-flight milestones, deploying Orion's solar arrays. So why don't we get back in with Mission Control and Gary.
Hey, thank you, Megan. Again, we're following along on the action. It is a long day. They have a number of procedures they need to get to immediately in their timeline.
And Integrity Houston, cross tie is on board per the ETSI
We copy Houston. Thank you.
Cross-tie referring to flight controllers here initiating a connection between some of the batteries aboard the Orion spacecraft, allowing for an even distribution of power. This is the flight control teams that took us through ascent of the Artemis II mission today. Right now we're, as you see, passing 18 minutes of mission elapsed time. The Orion spacecraft integrity and the interim cryogenic propulsion system are maneuvering tail to sun. It is in this orientation, this attitude.
Integrity, any words on that momentary prop caution?
And Reed, no action. We're looking at it.
Commander Reed Wiseman verifying what is being routed to his displays aboard integrity. Propulsion engineer confirming that no action is needed at this time. They're pressing through with their nominal procedures to prepare for the perigee raise maneuver, and of course the solar array wing deploy ahead of that. The solar wing deploy is a critical milestone. We'll continue to have our coverage follow the mission until that deployment. Successful launch is just the beginning. The deployment of the solar arrays and successful confirmation that those solar array wings are drawing power is a significant milestone, and says to the flight control teams that we will continue on today's mission. Power needs to be drawn to continue through some of the next milestones. Until then, the AOA open option that was called up upon ascent, the aboard once around, is the current option, and aboard to orbit option ATO will be switched to a preferred mode at the time that the solar array wings are deployed and latched. It gives the flight control teams a little bit more flexibility.
Integrity Houston, update on TDRS handover for your pad.
Give us just 1 minute. And Stan, you can read it. Ike is ready to copy.
Roger. TDRS handover east to west expected 1 second earlier at 5:1 minutes, 26 seconds.
Hi, Stan. We copy 1 second earlier for 5126 TDRS east to west, and saws are starting to deploy. Thermal knives are firing.
We concur. Thanks for the report.
Read back of the reports that you just heard on the Orion to Earth network. Integrity has maneuvered tail to sun. The RL-10 nozzle on the end of the ICPS is pointed towards the sun, and the solar array deployment sequence has begun. With the deployment confirmed, it'll be several minutes until they are what is called in a latched position. Once they are latched and confirmed to be drawing power, they can switch the mode to ATO and continue along the mission. The teacher's handover at the pad, that message meant the crew was provided some preliminary numbers of when to expect handovers between the tracking and data relay satellites. Currently orbiting Earth at an altitude of 545 statute miles above the Earth, they are in a near-Earth network communication system. The tracking and data relay satellites, geosynchronous satellites that are stationed about 23,000 miles above the Earth. After the apogee raise burn that occurs later today, the burn itself will put them in an altitude that surpasses the range of the tracking and data relay satellites, and they will transition to the deep space network today.
And integrity for prop messages, we see 2 temperature measurements right near the line. It's that momentary message you saw earlier. We're going to suppress those. It's CM helium heater 2 T1 and heater 1 T1. They're going suppressed.
Integrity, thank you. We see the same.
This is Mission Control Houston, passing 23 minutes of mission elapsed time into the Artemis II mission. This is after a launch that began at 5:35 and 12 seconds Central Time, 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Right now, the orientation you're seeing from our arrow visualization that translates some of the telemetry that we're getting from the spacecraft and puts it into a model so you can follow along on some of the milestones that we are following here. The RL-10 nozzle that you see at the left end of your screen, though it is currently not firing, that nozzle is pointed towards the sun, and the solar arrays are currently deploying. From this visualization, they look fully stowed in a position.
Integrity, we are happy to report that Jeremy has the O2 sensors on.
Copy O2 sensors.
Again, Commander Reed Wiseman and pilot Victor Glover overseeing the deployment of the solar arrays. And we'll follow the attitude maneuver changes ahead of the first burn of the ICPS engine, the perigee raise maneuver.
Integrity Houston, we see 4 saws deployed and latched, ready for ATO preferred.
Yeah, we're almost there in the procedure stand, and we see the same thing.
And Integrity Houston, we are seeing a 7-second miscompare between the MET on Orion and ICPS. We'd like you to read us the MET from your center status bar and for the ICPS on StackSum.
And Stan, we see a absolutely precise alignment. MET 25, 14, 15, 16, precisely aligned with ICPS MET.
Copy, thank you for that. We'll investigate a ground issue.
And Houston Integrity, ATO preferred set.
Copy, ATO preferred.
This is Mission Control Houston, 25 minutes, 45 seconds into the flight of Artemis II. We have confirmation that all 4 solar array wings are deployed and latched. This is the configuration needed to switch to ATO preferred, which you did hear confirmed from pilot Victor Glover. That mode has been switched. There's also a discussion with Capcom Stan Love and Commander Reed Wiseman about the alignment of the MET clocks on the Orion spacecraft and the ICPS. Commander Reed Wiseman confirmed the clocks are in sync, no issues, they're going to investigate it on the ground. We're proceeding with today's mission. 26 minutes of mission elapsed time and counting. This is Mission Control Houston. We're approaching 28 minutes of mission elapsed time into the Artemis II mission. At this point, we've had a successful liftoff from the pad at 5:35 p.m. and 12 seconds p.m. Central Time, 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. We've had a good main engine cutoff, core stage separation, and a good trajectory to begin today's mission. Right now, the spacecraft has maneuvered tail to sun. We're standing by for another maneuver to maneuver into the burn attitude. This is where the RL-10 engine of the ICPS is pointed in the correct orientation for the perigee raise maneuver. We did hear confirmation that the perigee raise maneuver time of ignition has been confirmed per the pad, which means it was the predicted time prior to liftoff.
Integrity for GNC, we're taking channel 1 to unfiltered and to BFS.
Okay, Stan, we're watching. Go ahead.
Capcom Stan Love reading up to the crew of Integrity. They will switch the navigation source from channel 1, standing by for confirmation that that switch has occurred. Pilot Victor Glover will receive confirmation when, and as at least watching to confirm that that switch has occurred. Again, the perigee raise maneuver that we're heading towards, not too long from now, we're actually inside 20 minutes at this time from the time of ignition of the perigee raise maneuver. We did have a successful deployment and launched of all 4 solar array wings. This is the configuration needed to commit to the perigee raise maneuver. Of course, flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston will continue to evaluate that everything is good before committing to that burn. The perigee raise maneuver does raise the perigee, the lowest point in the orbit, from 15 to 100 nautical miles. The 100 nautical mile mark is needed to continue in low Earth orbit and hit the target for the apogee raise burn. That will put them in a high Earth orbit for the remainder of the day and set them up for the right position to execute the translunar injection and head to the moon tomorrow. The burn duration of the perigee raise maneuver is 26 seconds. A relatively short burn, but it does raise the perigee and do the job to get into the correct position before firing that main engine on the ICPS. The pad had a TDRS handover. This is the tracking and data relay satellites. East to west, they are geosynchronous satellites that are positioned around the globe. And as Orion makes its way around the Earth right now, above the west coast of Africa, at an altitude of about 923 statute miles, and counting. The perigee raise maneuver is not executed at the perigee. It is rather executed on the, actually closer to the apogee. But what it does is it raises the perigee at the other end of the orbit to 100 nautical miles. The 26-second duration burn does not conflict with the time that they've reported of the tracking and data relay satellite handover from TDRS east to west. Again, geosynchronous satellites that are used not only by Integrity today, but the International Space Station as well. That time of handover is 51 minutes, 26 seconds. Plenty of margin before the perigee raise maneuver cutoff happens, and the trajectory is analyzed to see whether it was a good burn Good burn means that the burn was performed as expected and sets the trajectory on course for that 100 nautical mile perigee target mark. Again, for those sticking with us on NASA Plus and following along on our coverage, we will continue to follow and to cover the mission until actually, we'll continue to cover the mission 24/7. But we'll wrap up our coverage here shortly. And now that solar array wing deployment has occurred on NASA Plus and Amazon Prime. Again, we will continue coverage 24/7 at the NASA YouTube channel. For those that want to see all of the upcoming milestones, there are select times where we will be coming back to NASA Plus and other streaming platforms. You can go to nasa.gov to find the latest on when to find those activities. Given that this is an operational mission, we do want to make sure that we are maintaining transparency in the mission and providing you all the information on what's happening in space as Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen head on their mission around the moon. Inside Integrity at this time, again, the solar array wings have deployed. The Integrity is maneuvering to its burn attitude ahead of the execution of the perigee raise maneuver. Overseeing these steps is primarily done by Commander Reed Wiseman and pilot Victor Glover. Mission specialists Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen focusing on some of the system activation inside of Orion, namely the environmental and control and life support systems. The activation and checkout of some of these critical systems are very important to continuing on the mission, making sure that those systems are in a good condition and in a reliable condition to provide the necessary environmental and control needs of the crew, with humans on board through the duration of the mission that extends 10 flight days. Standing by for an update to the perigee raise maneuver time of ignition. Should be read up to the crew very shortly.
Integrity Houston, updated PRM numbers when you're ready to copy.
All right, Houston, we are ready to copy.
TIG is 2 seconds earlier at 4 9er minutes for 8 seconds. TIGO unchanged at 2.6 seconds.
49:48, TIGO 26.
This is Mission Control Houston. With that update, we are approaching a little more than 13 minutes from the time of ignition of the perigee raise maneuver. That time updated to be 2 seconds earlier was 49 minutes, 50 seconds of mission elapsed time. We'll now move to 49 minutes, 48 seconds. The duration of the burn, that's what was referred to as the TGO, will still remain at 26 seconds. Relatively short duration burn, again, just raises the perigee of the orbit today. Making sure they hit the mark on that time of ignition is the primary concern of Commander Reed Wiseman and pilot Victor Glover. Mission specialist Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen inside activating those environmental control and life support systems. At this time, all 4 crew members are wearing the launch and entry suits.
Integrity Houston, for Optimus on the PCD, we have time update instructions when you're ready.
And Houston, Integrity, we copy. Hands are pretty busy at this time. I think we will call you back when we're ready for that.
All right, that one is not urgent. 2 minutes to maneuver to PRM attitude.
We are watching and concurred. 90 seconds-ish, maybe.
Pilot Victor Glover confirming that that maneuver less than 2 minutes. Again, that the point of that maneuver is to point the main engine of the ICPS, the RL-10 engine, in the proper orientation to execute that 26-second burn. It needs to point in the correct position to achieve the goal of raising the perigee to 100 nautical miles. You heard some of the environmental control system activations over Orion to Earth. Jeremy Hansen activated the O2 sensors. They'll be measuring the cabin of Orion. During all of the activations here on the ground in Mission Control Houston, Flight Director Judd Freeling is doing a poll with all flight controllers in the room to see if we are in a go position to go ahead and execute the perigee raise maneuver. Once concluded, Stan Love will report it back up to the crew, and we'll stand by for that.
Integrity Houston, MCC polls go for PRM pending attitude and saws.
Okay, we copy. MCC is go. Maneuver starting.
Minutes of mission elapsed time. The maneuver to the burn attitude has begun. The maneuver also is paired with reorientation of the solar array wings that have been deployed. They will have various positions throughout the duration of the flight. Of course, solar array is meant to maximize the draw of power from the sun. So when deployed, we're in a biased solar array wing configuration that was called solar normal. This allows for the greatest surface area of the solar array wings to be drawing power and powering up those batteries of Integrity, of which a cross-tie was enabled between the four batteries, the four battery buses that are inside of Orion. However, for the perigee raise maneuver, the solar array wings will be put into a position to take on the loads imparted by the ICPS main engine when they execute the 26-second burn. You can see in the animation here, the solar array wings are in motion, and the attitude is being reconfigured to point the engine in the correct direction, those solar array wings being pointed forward. You're getting a live look inside the Artemis II mission flight control room. The team you see here oversaw the ascent of our four astronauts inside Integrity, launching at 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Now, again, this room will be occupied 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with flight controllers shifting on 3 shifts to oversee 24/7 operations of Artemis II while in flight. We will cover that live on the NASA YouTube channel, and we'll be covering that around the clock as we begin to wrap up our coverage here on NASA Plus. Before I do want to send it over to our colleagues at the Kennedy Space Center. And to my colleagues, it was a pleasure to join the teams at the Kennedy Space Center and be a part of such a historic launch. Here in Houston, again, we're turning our attention to the mission. And for now, we'll say farewell and thank you to our colleagues there for today's launch coverage. We'll see you again soon for Splashdown. This is Mission Control Houston, sending it back over to Megan and Nicole at the host desk.
Thank you, Gary. And yes, it was such a pleasure to be a part of this historic mission that started right here at Kennedy Space Center. It was such an amazing sight to be a part of. And now, as Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen begin their journey, we here at the Kennedy Space Center are about to wrap our broadcasts. We'll, of course, though, have 24/7 coverage with our colleagues at Johnson Space Center starting as soon as we sign off, so don't worry. You can follow along our 4 astronauts every minute of their nearly 10-day journey to the moon and back. Nicole, I'll definitely be watching it, and I'm sure you will, too.
Yes, of course. You know, they just started, right? The launch was beautiful. This was a historic day. They're on their way back to the moon for the first time in over half a century, but they've got a lot of work ahead of them, and so we're excited to see what they have to do and excited to test out the Orion spacecraft. Mm-hmm. This is a test flight after all, and we're excited to see what we can learn from this mission.
Mm-hmm. Very humbling, inspiring. It was really amazing to be a part of this, and I'm so glad that so many people joined along by either watching here in person or watching online. And of course, Nicole, thank you so much for sitting through this, answering questions, adding so much context and information that really brought a lot out of what we saw today.
Oh man, I had a blast. You're a rock star. You're a professional. This was great. Oh, you're great. So this was a wonderful day.
Well, again, thank you so much, and thank you to you for watching at home. You know, tonight we didn't just launch a rocket, we launched the next chapter of human exploration. Our Artemis II crew now on their way back to the moon, and we're taking you with us. So thank you again for watching, and go Artemis II. All 4 astronauts, and it appears all of them are undergoing their suit leak checks. Yes, a pre-flight tradition that we have seen with our crewed flights, the card game. The astronauts who have just left crew suit up and are now walking down a hallway. And here they are, NASA's Artemis II crew, taking their first steps outside for their historic test flight. And the 4 of them step into their astrovan. And off they go. Oh, this must feel so special to the crew to see all of these people here. Watching the crew walk across the crew access arm, getting a beautiful view. Everybody configured with their suits, so in we go. The closeout crew has closed the launch abort system hatch.
3, 2, 1, booster ignition, and liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.